Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4PlayerNetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4Player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 603. It is June 5th, 2019. My name is Nick Henderson, and to my right is Brad Simons.
Yo!
Nolan Hedstrom.
How's it going, everybody?
And Christopher Guthridge.
What up?
And boy, do we have a show tonight. We have so much stuff to talk about.
Many things.
Many things. We have
all the things.
We have space games. And
Actually, Nick.
Wait.
I wouldn't really... I'm sorry.
Don't derail this.
Classic.
This is dare I say it, a perfect intro to this podcast. We have 3 space games to talk about: Observation, Void Bastards, and Outer Wilds. And then in the second segment, we have so much news because it is, of course, the week before E3, and everything, all the leaks are starting to spring, and like all this news is being dropped. All the studios that are trying to announce things ahead of like all the really big shit are like getting their stuff out there. So we have a lot to talk about in the second segment. But before we do that, I have a couple things I want to mention. First and foremost, of course, like I said, next week is E3. We have kind of posted our official plans for covering the event on the site at 4playernetwork.com. Check it out if you're interested. I will say this. We are kicking things off on Sunday. I think we're going to try and be live by, I want to say 2:30, because the Microsoft presser starts at 3. We're going to be doing live commentary of Microsoft and Bethesda on Sunday, so come hang out. We'll be live most of the afternoon doing that. It should be a lot of fun, because looks like there's going to be a lot of stuff shown and talked about at those conferences. And then throughout the week, we have streams planned. Chris Davis and myself will be in LA to play and see things, and we're going to be streaming, I think, on Monday with Nolan. He's going to do commentary for Ubisoft and Square Enix with us. And then, of course, we'll be streaming periodically throughout the week in the evenings when we get back from the show floor. So it should be a fun week, and there should be plenty to talk about. I do want to encourage everybody out there, since there will be a ton to talk about. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear what you think, your disappointment, your hype, your questions, whatever the fuck it may be. We have an E3 2019 room in our Discord at discord.gg/4player, and you can tag us with E3 feedback in that channel if you want us to specifically address your comments and bring them up on the shows that we're recording all week long. So take advantage of that. It could be a fun way to kind of help shape the discussions that we're going to have all week long. Also, I would like to mention that we have a supporter spotlight this week. I opened up the questionnaire to everybody who's a supporter, whether you're a Twitch subscriber or a patron at the $3 tier or higher. If you go into the supporter spotlight channel in Discord, there's a pinned message in there with a link to a questionnaire you can fill out at any time. It's just like 6 to 8 random questions about your opinions on games and your top 5 games of all time and that kind of stuff. And we're going to randomly pick one every week and read responses. We'll be hearing from one of them in the second segment. The Revival Club, we picked a winner.
I didn't know
New
this.
game?
Vampire the Masquerade
damn
Bloodlines. You're not excited about this, Nolan?
No, I started that game a few years ago, and it's okay. There are other games on that list I would have rather played.
You know what? That's fair. But there are a lot of people
I think
apparently...
that game is pretty good, Nick.
Then you know what? You should fucking play it.
Like it.
Should give it another shot, Nolan. Maybe like do some research onto like what classes like play really easily, because there's a lot to love there.
You should spend a lot of time on this, Nolan.
Let me tell you about it, bro.
No, you don't have to spend a lot of time. Just
Carlos is extremely happy.
A little prep before jumping in.
If I don't get Carlos on a podcast to talk about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, I've failed, because he seems incredibly excited about that. So yeah, we opened up a new channel in Discord. You can hop in there if you're interested in playing it, if you're a supporter on Patreon or Twitch, and you can. And there's already people talking about the best way to secure that game and mod it and all that good stuff. So check that out. And of course, I do want to mention, I've mentioned Patreon a few times tonight. If you want to support us on Patreon, we would greatly appreciate it. And I think right now our main goal, our main priority is to replace these terrible couches that we're currently sitting
Dear
on.
God, please.
So if you're listening at home, you want to throw us $1 or $2
What if
or
we got
$3.
two big hammocks?
2 big hammocks. I've never
Yeah.
heard this as a possible.
And then we each sit, 2 of us in each hammock.
I feel like we would naturally like move towards the middle and just end up like
So?
snuggling.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about like laying in the hammock, like.
Not like 2 peas in a pod. More like 2...
I can picture it now.
Like 2 hot dogs in a bun.
There you go. That's a better description.
Even better. We are still going for the headphones as well. I think we still have a ways to go before I think we're going to drop the money on the headphones, but we need to start making some progress towards that in the first place to get there, and getting to the point where we can get some new couches. Is Kato like having a seizure?
No, he's dreaming.
He's dreaming. He's running in his dream.
Chasing a rabbit.
We can get couches here pretty quick. We're just trying to, get the ball rolling on these. But yes, to answer your question in chat, we are definitely still interested in getting some new headphones to help us keep control of the audio stuff during the podcast recordings. But yeah, without further ado, let's fucking jump into it. I got some feedback from our last podcast. Chris Davis, do you have that pulled up, or should I just pull it up on my phone? I will do it on my phone.
Yeah, I believe in you, Nick.
Someone say something for a minute.
Really quick to pull up feedback on your phone.
You're doing such a good job, Nick.
Thank you.
No,
Just
Look
keep
at how
going.
he's
Keep
sweating.
showering.
No
like
hiccups in this show at all.
Keep
It is
showering me in praise.
He entered
So
in his own
smooth.
lock code very
I
efficiently.
found it.
golden
Drew
showers.
327 says, and I do apologize. I know I said I was not going to talk about Days Gone anymore, but this is Drew
We all
327
knew
here.
you were lying.
Damn it, Drew.
I did finish that, by the way. Quick Days Gone comment. Nick mentioned the Ubisoftification of open world games, basically a map full of icons, and Nolan said that was something keeping him from playing it. Days Gone, actually, and by the way, the fact that he brings this up, I'm very happy about, because I totally forgot to kind of like mention this. But it says, Days Gone actually does a great job of pacing and meeting out missions so that the map never has too much on it. Missions are actually contained in storylines that come and go as you play, usually just 1 or 2 story missions at a time, and 1 or 2 side missions. And admittedly, if you ignore the nests and the bandit camps as you discover them, over time they could potentially fill up the map. But I do think that's a really cool thing that not a lot of open world games do, because it's not like most games where you pull up a giant map and it's like all these different icons where you can go and do any number of side quests or stories. They kind of like slowly dole them out to you. And
Would mainlining the story in that game be like something worth
I'd say so.
$20.
possible?
I'd say it probably makes sense than most open world games because, like I said, a lot of the stuff.
But like that's feasible?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, a lot of stuff on the periphery of the whole thing is kind of, repetitive. A lot of the open world stuff that's where a lot of people tend to have problems with it, I suppose. I think the meat of the game, the story, is probably one of the best aspects of the game itself. The one thing that is a bit strange sometimes, if you finish like a side mission and a main mission, and then there can be times where you're like, well, I don't fucking, there's no main mission, where do I go from here? And the way you trigger it literally is get on your bike and just drive into the world, and like a minute later someone will contact you, and usually the story kind of progresses from there. Okay. But they usually only dole them out like 1 or 2 at a time.
Get on your bike and ride,
man. Also, Drew says, wait a second, Brad, did you just describe Druidstone as XCOM meets Into the Breach? Was this not the guy who just last week condemned describing a game by using 2 or more other amazing games? I'm just busting your balls. I don't know.
Yeah, you are.
I don't think that's what I was doing, actually.
Okay.
In that conversation.
We'll have to roll back the tape.
Roll back the tape. Either way, he says he's just busting your balls.
Oh, okay. I remember. It was when
it has been 2 weeks.
it was using like the greatest of like here's the greatest platformer and the greatest it was like Last of Us, and which is like exceptional storytelling, right? Because
yes,
Days Gone also happens to be about zombies or whatever. You're using like Last of Us as the standard or whatever.
Well, I was also
then you're using like Red Dead or something, like Red Dead and Last of Us, and it's basically Days Gone, and it just makes it sound.
I didn't say that, but
I know, but that was my example of like when you're you picking 2 things to like describe something or whatever. Don't you pick like the 2 best things the medium's ever seen. For example, it just makes that thing that you're describing sound like the greatest thing of all time.
I will say this.
But, I mean,
I do stand by my comparison to Last of Us purely because of just the type of story it's trying to tell. which is
I'm
kind of
just
what I
saying
was
you're
going
making
for.
that story sound really good when
It's
you
a
say
really good story.
You're
Okay.
making it sound
Really good.
It's
a
really good.
little too good.
It's really good.
A little too good for some of what we've seen.
all I was saying
I've
is,
seen 60 hours of it, and I'm here to tell you.
I know.
all I'm
pretty
saying is
good.
be careful what you. No, I mean Metroidvania is a genre name,
Yeah,
not even a great one, but yeah.
All right, so next up, Thorax says, I know my favorite feature on the original Xbox was the ability to burn custom soundtracks in the console, and then games like Burnout and GTA would use these custom soundtracks. Does PS4 and Xbox One have this feature by any chance?
I do not believe so.
I wasn't listening to the question.
I love how just honest you are, Brad. Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. Please repeat the question.
I was reading chat.
He says, my favorite feature on the original Xbox, because somebody asked about our favorite features on old consoles, was the ability to burn custom soundtracks in the console.
Oh, yeah,
then games
yeah.
like Burnout and GTA would use those
Yeah,
soundtracks.
yeah.
Does PS4 and Xbox One have any of those features?
No,
Yeah.
not really. I mean, now it's. But I mean, who's popping? Who even has CDs anymore? Now you just stream Spotify. The difference is though, like the integration in some of those games, like Burnout, is you're playing Burnout and you like flip through the tracks, or like think about GTA or whatever,
Yeah.
where you're flipping through the tracks.
The
Like,
radio.
it would be integrated into like the radio, so you're more like
Where it makes sense
organically
logistically, yeah.
are like streaming your music as opposed to just your music is playing over everything at all times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like these days that integration they don't really care as much. But back then with some games it was really cool. Like I in Phantom Dust, or when I played Phantom Dust, you could just go into the menus and like pick your map music based on, music you burn. So
Yeah.
yeah, I remember I was listening to a lot of Interpol and Rapture when I was playing Phantom Dust. So it gave it like a different kind
Okay.
I thought it was a good fit, actually.
Yeah, but you're right. The fact that people don't really buy a lot of physical CD media for like music and stuff these days kind of makes that a little bit of a moot point, unless they somehow started adding like some kind of digital storefront for buying music or something on the actual consoles itself. That wouldn't really be too feasible.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Anyways, Joshua R, I'm just going to go with that,
Joshua.
says, everyone seemed to be a little shocked when I said I was near 100%ing Final Fantasy VII at around 35 hours.
Yeah.
But like Nolan is experiencing with Final Fantasy X, the areas are much smaller, can be done in 15 to 20 minutes, and easier to get through than we remember them being. No longer being a 10-year-old kid also makes the game far less challenging. That's why I'm really interested to see what they are adding to Final Fantasy VII Remake, especially if it's episodic. The older Final Fantasies are definitely quote-unquote smaller games in scope compared to a lot of the RPG/open-world games of today.
I mean, I don't think that's too big of a stretch. I think as, time's gone on, games have gotten larger and larger and larger.
Yeah, I mean,
and
the
so
thing is,
looking
what
back,
I used to think of...
we probably just assume they were larger. I don't want to say because we were smaller, because obviously
When I was,
the TV
during
was
that generation,
like the size
when
of it,
someone
but-
would say open world game, I
Yeah.
thought of Final Fantasy VII or Final Fantasy IX. But the definition or the term open world means something totally
yeah.
different these
And
days.
like I don't think that this person's wrong. I think we do remember them being bigger, but I still think it's bullshit. The 35. You got to define what 100% is. Did you like master materia everything? Because you're not doing all that in 35 hours.
I remember back in the day, I used to tell myself I wanted to 100% Final Fantasy VII, and in my head that meant mastering every single materia.
Yeah.
Which I was like, this is no,
Yeah.
it's not possible. But yeah, everyone's definition of that could be a little bit different. And our final comments from Chai Tai says, there was already a Twisted Metal-like show a few years ago called Blood Drive that wasn't a hit, but at least was fun to watch.
Blood Drive. They made a Blood Drive game. Was that related to that show?
Probably.
Which was like a really bad Twisted Metal clone?
That's what this sounds like. He says contestants enter a race across a post-apocalyptic USA in specially made cars that require human blood to run.
Nice.
Usually done by throwing people into the living engine.
In that case, Blood Drive is a great title.
The entire event is even hosted by an eccentric weirdo named Julian Slink. My concern is a Twisted Metal show would end up like Blood Drive, 2 minutes of cars and 46 minutes of talking. And I don't think Twisted Metal would have the weirdness outside of the cars. That's a fair assessment. Although I was listening back to kind of that conversation, I was thinking about it, and I was like, I didn't initially think Twisted Metal would make for a good choice for, developing a TV show or whatever, but, y'all kind of sold me on it.
I can see it.
It could
Were
be,
we
it could be
doing a
neat.
lot of selling on that idea?
I don't know if you were. I mean, you were. I think maybe unintentionally selling me on it.
Oh.
It sounded. I was like, I used to think. Because when I went into that conversation, I was kind of like, this whole thing sounds like a terrible, dumb idea. Like, what could you even do with that? And y'all were talking about it. I was like, oh, you could do that. Oh, that makes sense too. Oh, yeah. It's probably gonna be bad, but it makes more
Post-Twisted
sense
Metal,
now.
I mean,
Most likely, yes.
you know, Twisted Metal Black and beyond, Sweet Tooth's ice cream truck transforms into a mech. So, like,
I
is
don't
that
think
in the show?
I don't think that's going to make it into the show. In fact, I would be
Well,
willing to bet that
then that's a
Nolan was
lame
right
show.
when he was talking about how Sweet Tooth is just going to be a dude in a mask.
Yeah.
You know, just a normal dude.
Yeah. I mean, probably creepy, but yeah.
Creepy normal dude not driving a mech or an ice cream truck that turns into a mech. Anyways, thank you guys so much for your feedback. If you want to say anything after our discussions tonight, of course, you can always go over to 4playernetwork.com and leave us a comment on the post for this episode. But now, it is time to get into it. Who wants to talk about their game first?
Me.
Ooh, what's
I don't-
Nolan got?
I don't have a game.
Nolan doesn't have... I was like, wait, I don't think Nolan brought a game tonight.
Nah.
Let's talk about Void Bastards.
Wait, Brad, you and Crispy have been playing a little bit of both of these games, so why don't we start? Let's start with Void Bastards.
Void Bastards.
Bastards.
Void Bastards.
Void
It's a
Bastards.
great name. Let's just start there.
Yup.
VB.
I like it.
Okay.
And that's about it.
Cool.
Come on, guys, you're fucking killing me tonight.
It's it is a roguelite first person shooter.
You lost me.
It's hey,
I'm just kidding.
it's
I'm just
first
kidding.
person. It's a first person shooter version of Rogue Legacy in space.
That sounds
Kinda.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go
I mean-
on.
Well, or like, yeah. I mean, it has like the map traversal of like Slay the Spire or FTL,
Mm-hmm.
where
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have this like webbed
Yeah.
pathway that you're trying to work your way through. You're always like trying to collect components of projects that you're working on.
You're exploring ships,
Yeah.
spaceships.
Yeah, you're doing that by like you're in this giant area of space called the Sargasso Nebula.
Of course.
That's just filled with derelict ships. So you're just jetting from ship to ship, like scavenging them, killing everybody on board because the people on board are all mutated by the dark energies of the nebula.
So when you actually, it's kind of hard to tell so far from the footage because right now, like I'm
So
seeing
like,
like
this is me docking to a ship right now.
That's just the map.
And
That looks
when you
like
first
FTL.
dock,
But
yeah,
that's
when you
just a
first
map.
dock, it shows you what the ship layout looks like. Shows you where all
Crispy.
the systems are, and then you undock and you go into the ship. So
and now
like,
it's a
on
first
this
person
one-
shooter.
Yes.
Yeah, and on this one, like I start off and there's no power, so I have to get to the.
That room did say FTL.
I have to
But
get
Crispy.
Yeah, that's the engine room.
Yeah, I know. You had Nick at docking.
Docking. Yes. Yes, I knew that would be right up Nick's alley.
What's dog? I'm just kidding. Let's not do that again.
Give it a Google. So right now, what I'm trying to do is turn on the power so that I can do other things aboard the
Sure.
ship because obviously
It's very dark.
nothing works when the power's off.
Like you
But-
can't. Yeah.
But this is pretty much what the loop of the game is. It's just exploring these vessels to find supplies like fuel for your ship,
Yeah.
or food, which you need every time. So basically, every time you move or anytime time passes, you need to consume fuel and food.
And that includes
stay alive.
does that include when you're moving around on the ships?
No. That's like when you're jetting between
Gotcha.
the different.
I'm assuming the assumption is it does take time to get from point A to point B in this
Right.
game. So you have to consume food and fuel. When you're in here, this is a few minutes.
Right.
And you have an O2, which is basically your timer for that ship.
Yeah. So you can see up in the top right, there's a little blue bar that's your O2.
Yeah.
There is an Atmo like room on the ship that has O2 gear that you can refill your tanks with to sort of extend your stay, but that again requires fighting your way to it and clearing it out, and sometimes requires money to use facilities on board the ships.
Is it possible to commandeer these ships for your own? Or
No.
Gotcha.
no.
They're derelict. They're
They're
like
just
So you're
little
basically
maps
just
that you're
you're
exploring.
so you're moving from one map
Yeah,
to the next.
yeah.
You're
They're
clearing them
like
out.
various levels, but
And-
like different ships have different themes and
Yeah, they're all like different companies. So like you'll see ones that are like prison ships that have gene therapy bays on them. So you
Okay.
can go on there and like add new like traits to whatever character you're running at the moment. Because like Rogue Legacy, they all have different traits.
That's kind of what I
Yeah.
wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Where does the Rogue Legacy play into this? That aspect of it.
Yeah, so it's like every time you die, and I think if we go, I think I did 2 ships in this run through, and then I died.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, every time you die, they just like send you a new random. Basically,
Gotcha.
like the light lore of this whole thing is that you are on a ship called the Void Barge, which is a prison transport, and in this weird future, the prisoners are like dehydrated into a pink dust and put into a little envelope.
So they're dead.
No, they're just
not
dehydrated.
dead. I mean, yeah, they're dehydrated,
dehydrated. You
and
just
they're
gotta add a
filed
little
away
water.
in these giant filing cabinets. And then they just like pull one out. They rehydrate the person. They're like, "Hey, congratulations, you're back to life."
Interesting.
So like all the prisoners are clients of this like parole company or like the prison company.
So does each level you go into, you play as a different prisoner or something every time you die?
No,
Every time
every time you die, you get a new prisoner. Yeah.
I think Rogue Legacy. Like I had a character that had like flatulence or whatever, or no, it was like a sneeze, and so that would like alert enemies.
Yeah.
You know, every time I sneeze.
I had one who,
Or-
like in Rogue Legacy, couldn't see color, so it was all black and white. You know, so
Oh.
or like
sometimes they have positive, sometimes they have negative traits.
yeah. Or like a character that's just tall, so you have to like duck through
the duck to go
doorways.
through doors.
Yeah. Like, I think the one I have right now is brawny or something. Like, he has more health than normal. But yeah, like, in this footage, what you've seen me do is, like, I've gone into the helm, and I've downloaded the ship's information so I could see where all the loot and where all the enemies on the ship are.
When you pull up the map and stuff?
Right.
Yeah.
So that helps me.
Shoot
move
that
around.
thing, Chris.
I know, I'm trying not to get close to it because they explode when
Yeah.
when they die. And I keep like trying to duck behind the corner at the last second. But yeah, I mean, I think the gameplay loop of this is really fun and satisfying. It's a really solid base, though. I mean, I've been playing this game for about 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like I've seen.
You've kind of
most
done
of
everything,
it.
yeah.
Like, yeah, I feel like I've seen a lot of the tricks that it has.
So because it's a roguelite, it's because
The one thing that I'm not very like, the one thing that I feel like I haven't seen a whole lot of variety in is just in like the workbench and upgrading equipment, because I haven't like discovered enough. There's all these like blueprints that you have to discover, and then you'll find parts on ships that will give you parts of blueprint. So I mean, there's a bunch of like weapons and equipment and stuff that I haven't been able to build. But as far as like the objectives and the ships and like the kind of enemies that I'm fighting, like I feel like that loop has kind of
played out.
locked
Well, I
in,
mean,
you
this
know,
isn't like exactly a run-based game. I mean, your characters are dying, but you are completing objectives towards an end
Right.
goal. Like, there's an end to this game.
yeah.
You
Does
just
anybody know how
Like
long
everything
this game is?
carries over.
15 hours, I think I heard.
So one thing we haven't really mentioned that I really think is worth mentioning is I think this game has a really cool aesthetic to it.
The art style and like the general look and attitude of this game is definitely one of its strong points. Like
I think it's why it was on people's radar.
yeah, it's real fucking cool looking. It's the narrator for the game is the Stanley Parable guy.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
He's like the voice of the computer that runs the Void Ark that is like doing all of this shit. It's a really funny kind of like darkly humorous game. Like all the different kinds of ships that you're going to give you kind of insight into like what commerce in this weird fucking future world is. Like like you'll go on ships that are showrooms for like robotic cats, you know, like for pets.
Okay.
You'll go on ships that are like the one I was saying before was like it was a different type of prison barge where they were basically like rehab facilities, so they had like gene therapy suites on there, and like they try to make the ship look like a little nicer than like the regular prison barges. There's like these luxury barges that you can get like expensive gear from that I think they're just like cruise ships or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really neat stuff on the surface here. I think like under the hood, it's still a little shallow.
It seems kind of shallow.
It's definitely
Like, it's
the
just
kind
a
of
pretty
game.
straightforward, simple game.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the kind of game though that like I would really hope the developers like stick with and like maybe come back in a year or two and see if they've done like significant updates to it.
Yeah.
If they've added a bunch of new content or systems to the game. Like I feel like they've what is here, like what the systems that are here are really fun and are really competent.
Yeah.
And are really, really worthwhile. It just again, it's like in a few hours you're gonna kind of like feel
You're like, all
you've
right.
seen everything, you know?
Gotcha.
Well, maybe. I guess we don't really know.
Yeah, I guess we don't know.
It looks cool though.
Although I have read that a lot in reviews about the game, so I feel like that's a common theme. But I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. Again.
Awesome. All right. Void Bastard. I actually have a code for this.
It's definitely worth checking out. If you have
Maybe I should give that code to Nolan. I feel like Nolan's mom.
Dude, I was
why didn't you go back in time? And
I got fucking Steam open on my phone right now to this page.
You didn't buy it, did you?
No, I did not yet.
Maybe I have a code for you, Nolan.
I would love it.
All right, let's switch gears for a second before we go to the Yell's other game. Let me just quickly. I'm gonna get Observation out of the way.
Good.
All right, Observation.
Another game. Do you have a code for that one too?
I don't have a code for this one. No, I'm sorry. Observation. By the way, I mentioned this on the last show we did, but I was thinking about getting it on PS4 because I didn't want to download the Epic Games launcher.
Yeah.
I downloaded the Epic Games launcher, and I got because this is part of the sale.
Oh my god, you're so brave.
No, that fucking launcher is weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Is. I did buy some
You're a
stuff on
dick.
there.
Did you download your free game?
No. How does that work?
There was
Every-
a free
every
game.
2 weeks
Yeah,
you
every
get a
2 weeks
free
there's a
game?
free game on it.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I should do that. Anyways, Observation. We saw our first glimpse at this a few months back, I guess, and it's that game where you're basically playing as the AI on this space station, and there is things go awry. I'm not going to go into too much detail about what happens, but you're kind of guiding this character, this astronaut. Through the space station, and you have access to all of the station's like security systems and cameras and all kinds of things, basically all the sciencey stuff, and you can kind of jump around and unlock doors and do all kinds of shit to try and guide her through the station and get her out alive.
Can you
that kind of thing.
be like kind of like a dick, like close the door right before she goes through it?
I mean, theoretically, you could, I guess.
You murder her?
But I mean, the thing I would
Calm
also say
down,
this is
Brad.
also a very This is also a very narrative heavy. Like narrative is super important in this game. I don't think it's set up in such a way that you're going to really feel like that would be worth your time or your effort.
Okay, well, I'm just curious. I would definitely do it
Because I mean, if you did it, like I don't think it's the kind of game where she'll like react or anything. She may just be like,
Are you trying
Sam,
to trick
open.
her?
She'll just be like, Sam, please open the door or whatever. It's got some cool like. The UI is pretty neat because like at any given time you can kind of look around, you can jump between the security cameras, you can look at things, and it will obviously kind of highlight them if they're interactive, and if you're not really sure what needs to happen, you can hold down the left trigger and you can say something, you can like inspect something and say something to her, and then she'll respond back to you, and that usually kind of gives you a hint as to what you need to do next and that kind of stuff.
Are you controlling a computer right here or the person?
So you can actually possess these like little
robots or something.
These little like floating spheres.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's completely obviously not tethered to anything. So you're floating around, and it's kind of you're in space, so you're kind of having to like orient yourself all the time, which I'm going to talk about here in just a second. But what this game sets out to do, this is kind of like a thriller, like a horror thriller. If you're at all interested in like space horror, I think this game does a pretty good job. Like, it does some really... It's giving me these, like, Event Horizon vibes a little bit. Maybe without the...
Horror in this setup sounds like it would work really well.
It does. I mean, it really does. And, like, they've done some things so far that genuinely made me go, huh, what the fuck? This is terrifying. Like, when you start to think about, like, what's happening, you're just kind of like, no, thank you. But, like, what I really like about it is the way that it doesn't hold your hand, and like you're having to do like when you get to a point where it's like she'll be like, Sam, open this airlock or whatever, and it pulls up this screen right here, and you have the airlock controls, but it doesn't tell you at all what you got to do. You just kind of have to look at it for a second and be like, okay, I can hit this, I can't hit this, I can move this thing, and you just kind of have to like piece it together while you're interacting with it, and like all the puzzles are like that. Which is kind of a double-edged sword because it feels really neat when you figure something out and you do it, but then you spend a lot of time sometimes, or at least I've spent a lot of time where I'm just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? And sometimes it'll be like, because you'll be like in the world, like looking through a camera, looking at something, or you have a menu pulled up and you're trying to sort something out, and like since you have like a HUD and you're an AI, so there's like you'll see text kind of written in random places on your screen, and it's very small. And sometimes what, like, if you could be stuck for like 10 minutes on something, but like what you need to look at is like read one of these little text things on the screen and be like, oh, that's actually kind of telling me I need to go into the space station's like inner systems and like go to this sub menu and find this stuff. And like I wasn't paying attention to it because I was just so focused on the UI element that was directly in front of me. So that can get kind of frustrating. Also, this game, while I don't think it's particularly long, I've spent so much of my time in this game just trying to orient myself because it's space, so there's like no up or down. Like sometimes I go into a room and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I spend like the first minute trying to figure out like, where's the floor? Where's the ceiling? What am I looking at?
That was me every time I was in those. I can't remember what the name of the rooms were, but when I played Prey. Like when you go in the rooms that had no gravity, and you're like, "What the?"
That is like so much of this game.
Guts.
Yeah, the guts. Thank you. Yeah. When you were in there,
yes.
So I can imagine being similar to that in this when you're kind of just
anytime you untether yourself from the camera system and you're possessing one of those little spheres, it is so hard to orient yourself. And by the way, this little scene.
Like it.
I mean, this scene right here is like a cutscene where
yeah.
you're jumping between these two parts of the station, and you're being yanked around in this actual tether. So it's very, very
You
disorienting.
were the human character.
The
computer.
You're one of the spheres.
You're on the spheres, and she's tethered you to an actual tether.
Gotcha.
And
okay.
she propelled herself off the ship, and then when she yanks you, like you're just like bouncing all over the place, and it's like really. And like, there's been a couple times where you go outside the ship, which is obviously always really cool in space games, really immersive. But she's like, find this thing. And I'm like, I don't even know which direction I'm pointing. Like, there aren't even really directions where I am. This is really bizarre. So I've spent a lot of time just trying to figure out where I am and orient myself, and that's kind of what's been taking me a long time. So, but it's cool. The narrative pull thread there is really interesting. I'm really eager to figure out like what's going on and get to the end of it. And if you at all like space stuff, I think it does a pretty good job of like capturing that. So if you're into anything like the movie Gravity or anything like that, where it's just like intense shit happening in space and that kind of like doesn't hold your hand at all, like, this is kind of for you, I would say. I don't know if that gets you excited for it, Brad. I know you said you weren't particularly
Nick,
thrilled about
speaking of space games that don't really hold your hand.
Good transition.
I've been playing a game called Outer Wilds.
Which looks
This
pretty
is
cool.
also a space game, right?
Yeah.
Which is the one that you were like, this one's not a space game.
Me?
Yeah. According to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, space...
This is the one that's more of a space game. I said Void Bastards wasn't really a space game.
Okay. I mean, I guess you
Because
don't
you were
really...
just running around.
I think
shooting.
of the three, it seems like the least of a
like
least
the space
game.
The spaceness
Sure.
was very much a backdrop.
Well, this is a game where you explore a very small
This is
solar system.
absolutely a space game.
Yes. This is wow. This is things kind of different. It's a narrative-driven exploration game, where
That guy's got 4 eyes.
Yeah.
you explore a small solar system, and they very much don't spell anything out. In fact, everything is kind of supposed to be weird, and I feel like discovery of how things work. You go to these different planets, and the way things work on the planets are very different, and it's sort of discovering how that stuff works is kind of one of the marvels of this game. Structurally, it's also really interesting because every 22 minutes, the sun goes supernova.
What?
Yeah.
You die.
Yep.
I mean, you could die by just dying also.
Yeah.
It's a very like deadly game in a lot of ways because you're in space. Space is dangerous. But then the day restarts. It's like Groundhog Day.
Yeah. You reset to that exactly.
You reset to
at
that.
the campfire.
Yeah. So it's all about exploring this solar system, finding out how everything works, putting the pieces of this story of this like a precursor race that existed, I guess, before, and try to find out, I guess, maybe how to get out of this, break this time loop.
Gotcha. Okay, so there is a actual time, like a narrative explanation for the actual. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like when in the very beginning of the game, the first run through, you have to go from the launch tower over to the observatory to pick up launch codes. And when you get to the observatory, they have a statue of like one of these precursor aliens that one of the explorers had found on a distant planet. And when you get the codes and you're leaving, the statue like comes to life and like sucks all your memories out of your head.
Huh.
And like that's what you see every time you reset is like the fucking magic of this statue like retaining your memory.
Interesting concept.
So yeah, it is all very much in like in the
lore.
story, in the digest of the game that you're resetting.
Figuring out,
and this straight up looks like No Man's Sky. Like you just took off. You just
oh
got
yeah,
the ship
but
and
like these planetoids are very like small, but they're all handcrafted in like
very bespoke.
Like each one. So like I'm trying to get to this, and I don't want to talk too much about this game because I feel like sort of the discovery is everything in this game.
Dude, that like
it like I don't want to describe too many. I mean, because there's only like maybe.
This is the one that you said you had trouble with, Crispy, didn't you? Like
I
didn't you,
completely.
like-
I didn't have autopilot on. I
this
completely
has been really
overshot
frustrating because my
You can
computer's
overshoot
been-
things?
Oh my god, it's
You can fly into the sun.
everything
Yeah.
is everything is real. Like you can get stuck in the sun's gravity and not get out.
Yeah,
Oh.
but there is an autopilot, and I realize. So, like, let me describe what I'm heading to right now, and I do die because it's dangerous.
Nice.
This is two like small planetoids, and one. So, like, when I was, it took me a while to figure out what's going on, but when I did, I was like, oh my god! One small planetoid is like dumping sand into the other, and it's filling up the other planetoid with sand gradually as the other one, like the level of sand goes down.
It's like an hourglass.
It's like an hourglass going from one planetoid to the other. And when I figured out what was going on, I was like, oh my god. And then I realized as time passes, I can explore parts of this other planetoid that I couldn't get to
'Cause there's
before.
less sand,
but
yeah.
remember, 22 minutes the sun goes supernova, and so you realize that like uncovering the mysteries of this solar system, it's like Majora's Mask, right?
Yeah.
Like I need to be at the right place at the right time to maybe get into this cave deep in this planet, because all the planets have these sort of crazy things, and they're all different. They're all very distinct, and kind of figuring out how everything works, the story. And I land in a very bad place, and I'm about to be blasted.
It seems
by
like
this
it.
sand. I am just gonna die here. But like that's sort of everything in this game. Uncovering the story of this precursor race, like what happened to them, why they died, and I mean, I'm assuming that you're gonna figure out sort of like how to get out of this time loop or whatever through like things that they've done. I've already noticed a lot of things. Like the moment I sort of wake up after I die, I'm like seeing things, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that that's important. And
The
this is a game you don't want to talk about, but I urge
wanna
you,
talk about
like, if you are willing to.
Crispy's like, I beg to differ.
like, okay, so let me just say that like I've only done 3 of these loops
Oh
so
wow!
far.
So you
Okay. The reason being, the other side of that story is because the game keeps crashing on me, and it's really frustrating because there's no save inside the loop. So if you die like 15 minutes into a loop, that's
But
just
you know,
gone.
dying isn't a huge deal. Because
not dying. I'm sorry. If the game crashes, it doesn't like update
Oh.
any of the new journal entries. That
So
you
that's
put
the
down.
thing. You keep track of all of your sort of story progress through this journal system.
But-
That does a really good job of sort of like
It does. It's got like a hard like journal system, like stuff that you've discovered and found out, and then it's got this whole like rumor web of things you've heard about, like things to check out.
And it'll tell you, like, if you were kind of scratching at the surface of something that has, like, more to it, it'll, like, put a notation that's saying, like, there's more to this.
That's neat.
But but what I was saying was, I've only done a couple of these loops so far, and each one, like, something crazy has happened. Like, something crazy different has happened each time. Each one of these worlds has, like, their own cycle that they're going through. Like, I landed on one that I didn't realize at the time, but it was kind of, like, hollowed out in the center of it, and then, like, the upper crust of the planet started, like, collapsing and falling into the center of the planet.
Oh.
So, like, I got out of my ship and was, like, walking around, and then I'm like, where's my ship? And I look, and I just see it on a giant mass of land, like, falling to the core of the planet, and I'm like, no, fuck that, and I, like, run after it and try to, like, get in the ship and take off, but I don't make it in time, and we get sucked into a black hole and get shot out somewhere else in the solar system.
Yeah.
And there was, like, a whole other thing over there, which I won't talk about, but, like, there's a lot of crazy shit like that going on.
This sounds cool. I have a question.
I will say, though, like,
this
this doesn't hold your hand, and, like, that you need to have a desire to kind of, like, figure out the mystery that's going on, and it's almost Myst-like, and how just.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Structurally, so if I boot this game up, am I playing in the exact same version of the Soul System as you and Crispy have?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
I didn't know if this was like randomly generated.
This is
or anything.
There's
This is handcrafted.
This is a very
absolutely handcrafted.
I mean, everything is kind of like
story.
small and like that's why the planets you can see they're not very big. They've got like 1 or 2 sites of interest on them, but they do that so that they could completely hand make everything.
Yeah,
that's
I think
cool.
Majora's
Mask. It's like a totally different approach. It's like the opposite approach of like No Man's Sky.
Yeah, I mean,
which is appealing in
like,
its own way, but like
it's not really going for the same thing. But it I think it scratches a similar.
It definitely like
Space Wanderlust.
When it's at its best, it kind of feels like maybe what
you
were originally getting hyped about with like the first No Man's Sky trailer, just being like, oh man, go like see crazy shit like this. Like, I mean, the way some of these systems and some of these like puzzles in this game intertwine together, it's fucking like it's crazy. Like when you like figure out like you're finding like right here he's walking through like alien ruins and shit like that, you know, like you'll find like devices and you'll find things in there that do different shit, and like when you're sitting there just like pressing buttons and like moving things around and just trying to get a feel for it, like it is like they're doing weird things, like they're like teleporting you to other planets and like black holes and white holes and gravity wells.
Something happens here in a second that is one of the things that happens on this planet that is like when you figure out what's going on, it's like, oh my god, this is crazy. I feel like there's a lot to this game. This is not like a 3-hour experience. You can spend a lot of time exploring and like figuring. I mean, I feel like I've barely scratched the surface, and I've only.
How does it feel like technically? Is it?
It's cool. I mean, all like the. I mean, the ship is a little hard to control. I mean, you got to. I mean, at first.
I feel like nothing can stop me after trying to orient myself in observation. I'm trying to fly those little spheres around. You'd be surprised.
You're going to need to rely on autopilot a lot. It's kind of finicky. But, I mean, I really like the sort of the look of all like the gadgetry and stuff. I mean, there's like
it's like unique. In a way.
It's
like,
super unique.
Like, so there's one called Signal Scope, which, like, there will be other astronauts out there who all play different instruments, and you can use the Signal Scope to, like, lock on to them playing music.
Watch what's about to happen. Watch what's about to happen. I'm
watching, Brad. I'm watching.
Okay, so I'm inside the atmosphere of this planet with these tornadoes, and I'm kind of exploring this little landmass that I find, right? And then all of a sudden, I'm, like, floating, and I'm like, why am I floating? Wait, I'm in space. And I realized the entire landmass that I'm on was blasted out of the atmosphere via one of those tornadoes.
Wow!
And this figuring out how all these things work,
the gas
plays into the mystery of this game.
I ended up on this planet earlier, and I saw that thing, that landmass floating around. I didn't know it came from like the moon of that planet. I was like trying to get up on that because I was orbiting around that planet, and I got separated from my ship, and I couldn't, like, my jetpack wasn't powerful enough to get away from the planet's gravity, so I got sucked into the atmosphere and like fell into the ocean.
So
this looks fucking dope.
You're finding all these laws that are kind of explaining through like conversations and stuff how this stuff works, and as you're experiencing it, as you're reading it, I'm not at the point where everything is starting to connect because I feel like there's a lot to this game.
Yeah.
And you can roast marshmallows.
Sold.
Any good game.
Yeah, dude, this looks really cool.
It's fascinating. Like legitimately,
what are you playing this on?
I'm playing this on Epic Game Store because it was part of that sale.
Gotcha.
But this is free with Game Pass right now on Xbox. So if you have an Xbox,
what's an Xbox?
Also, Void Bastards and this game are on Game Pass right now. If you have an Xbox.
Oh my god!
But Epic Game Store, it was on sale. It might still be on sale, maybe not.
And it's like a controller-based game. Like they recommend
using a controller. But yeah, utterly fascinating. But it feels like there's a commitment. I don't think you could like just not take this game seriously and really get much out of it. It's I mean,
it looks like a game I would want to take seriously. Like
yeah, absolutely, it's super compelling. Like honestly, I have found what I've experienced so far in this game to be quite frankly remarkable. And as I'm recording footage, I'm discovering shit that is blowing. I'm late for the podcast, capturing footage, and my mind is being blown here by something.
This is $15 on the Epic Game Store.
Yeah,
damn, I might pick this up then.
Yeah,
this does look really
and I'm like,
cool.
like I'm doing stuff that I haven't done before, and I'm like, oh my god, I could do this. I discovered that these rocks here, that when you stop looking at them, they move.
What?
Oh no!
Fucking weeping angel.
Yeah.
Oh god. Oh god. All right. Well,
there's a lot to spoil, but there's so much that I feel like the stuff that we've said and during the course of this conversation is.
No, this is fascinating. This looks awesome. Just so you know, if the Outer Worlds comes out this year and turns out to be really good, it's gonna get
Outer Wilds and Outer Worlds.
It's gonna get real
Game
confusing.
of the year. Wait,
which outer game is Game of the Year? Who the fuck knows? So real quick, I guess we're coming up to the end of the first segment pretty quickly here, which is fine because we have a ton of news to talk about in the second segment. But is there anything quick anybody wants to mention?
I got an Oculus Rift.
Oh yes, Nolan, how are you enjoying your Oculus Rift?
It's pretty good so far.
We're probably gonna mess around with that maybe on Sunday or something.
We can definitely play it.
Because like I said, we're gonna be live all afternoon for the Microsoft and Bethesda conference, so maybe we'll dick around with the Oculus Rift while we're
specifically the S, because I'm sure some people will ask. There are different models.
Oculus Rift S. That's cool.
The sport version.
Yes, sure, why not?
Do you have Super Hot on there?
I can get it. I don't have it right now.
Just curious.
I mean, I thought about it, but the problem was, and like I said, one of the reasons I don't have too many games right now is because I didn't have too many Steam VR games. Just because why would I? Because they didn't have VR. Dude, and there's like nothing on sale right now.
Oh, Gamerbeck's right, Nolan. You can now do the Naughty America stuff that we demoed at E3 a couple of years ago. We should demo that.
Well, there you go.
Remember how well that demoed?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I mean, that's it. I haven't really been playing much lately.
Get some custom songs for Beat Saber.
I probably will.
They have like
Beat Saber.
some of the Tetris Effects songs.
I still have never touched that.
Ooh, you can play
I've
on
never
Sunday.
tried it. I would love to try
I think you did. We were here.
No,
when you
Crispy
tried.
did.
No, everybody else with me. I was editing the podcast when y'all did that.
Nerd.
Anything else little that you want to mention?
Chris Davis?
Chris Davis is coming in.
Did we let him do this?
Just mention real quick, I beat Rage 2.
Oh, how'd that go? I still haven't started that.
It's okay. It's not bad.
I feel like that's kind of the general consensus in that game.
This is a scam. He's scamming us. He's going to try to talk about Godzilla.
Wait, I wasn't.
Cut him
You're
off.
the one
Cut
that
him off.
brought it up,
Wait a
sir.
minute. I wasn't on the podcast when you guys talked about Rage 2. I played a bit of that game, and it's fucking butt.
Wait, you were on the show when we talked about that?
No, he
What?
wasn't.
No, I wasn't.
He wasn't.
he wasn't.
Because Chris Davis
Because I
is sitting
remember
right
watching you guys.
Here. Yeah.
I remember watching you guys on my phone, going like, "No,
Oh, that's right. You were in that.
It's a bad game."
I mean, I feel like it's one of those games that's kind of like divisive. You either kind of like it or you don't at all.
That does,
Which is so weird.
either
'cause the
kind of
looks
like or dislike doesn't sound like
That's not compelling.
great.
I know, but like the weird thing is like if you like all the footage I watched of that game prior to release made me think like, oh my god, this looks like it's gonna be so much fun. I'm just kind of crazy that it turned out so mediocre.
It's,
I mean, you don't seem like you're super hot on it, Chris Davis.
No, it's okay. I mean, granted, I was playing on PC. It may be better on console.
I mean,
but-
Why would it be better on
It
console?
Why would it
it's
be
probably
better?
worse on console.
Nick, you might get something out of it because like they copy the whole like Mad Max thing like
Yeah, they do.
hard.
But like,
Yeah.
Like
but
the Mad Max systems are like almost wholesale.
But I
ported
refuse
over.
to like the thing about Mad Max was the car combat, man, and everything I've seen of the drive.
That's not any better here.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's about the same.
No, I would be. I would.
I think it's more simple in Rage 2.
The I don't even want to say what I've seen of car
It's not as
anything. It's
complicated,
not car
yeah.
combat, really. Isn't it just cars with guns on them?
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
that car combat.
when you're fighting and killing other cars.
No,
typically
Mad
we
Max
call
is
it
all
car
about
combat.
like going super fast and like ramming
Using
dudes off the
harpoon
road
to,
and
like pull shit. Yeah, no, you don't do any of that.
yeah, and like that right there was what made Mad Max
mean,
So
super
you would
awesome.
say this is more like Rage.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is also, if I remember correctly, kind of mediocre.
Yes.
Very short and mediocre.
So you're assuming this is you love Mad Max so much that you're just going to assume that this couldn't possibly be as good as game that everybody else thought was mediocre.
No, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna at least give it a fair shake because of Mad Max. Because I loved Mad Max more than most people probably gave it a chance.
I think you should. I mean,
I might end up playing Rage 2 and loving it. I don't fucking know, but I mean,
there
Mad Max to me is a very high bar.
You're known to be fond of games that hover around the low 70s.
You fucking asshole.
No, I mean that's admirable. So, I mean, that's admirable.
Someone's gonna buy those games.
Is that what that is? Admirable?
Some of the later
Nick,
visual
you
design
find
of the
you
world
find the
is pretty
diamonds
good.
in the rough. You find beauty where no one else does.
I'm saying
at least that sounded like a
just because
compliment.
he thinks it's butt doesn't mean you're gonna think it's butt.
Once you get to like the jungle area and then the swamp area, you get a little bit more variety in the environment. I think the game's a little better.
How long did it take you to finish it?
15 hours.
Okay, it's not a huge commitment. I don't know.
Sure.
But you
see.
like
it's on my
huge
shelf.
commitments.
I don't love huge. I'm
Did you get a final clock time for Days Gone?
about 70 hours. And you know what? I fucking loved every minute of it.
That's like 3 days gone for you.
Multiple days.
Oh my god! Did you see they added a new survival mode to it that has extra trophies, and one of them is defeat a horde in less than a minute, and the trophy is called Days Gone in 60 seconds.
Wow.
No.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's not funny when they do it.
It's only
They're not
funny
allowed
when
to make
we
fun
do
of
it.
themselves.
I also finished Mortal Kombat 11,
What'd you think?
and by that I mean I finished the campaign, which is really good. Like,
How'd you do in the Chronica fight at the end?
Oh my god,
She's a bitch, right?
that fight was a bitch. Like I think I maybe
gotta get-
there's like 2 maybe 3 fights over the course of the entire game where I think I had to like retry it.
Yeah.
And then I got to the Chronica fight and it took me like 10 tries at least.
But like without spoiling anything, like the kind of
10 tries sounds kind
the
of
big
easy for
like
Mortal Kombat final boss.
conflict resolution at the end, like the big twist or whatever.
They it's ridiculous.
It's pretty crazy.
Not only is it ridiculous,
I
it's
kind of like it though. I'm like into it.
Yeah, I mean it's bold. I would say not only is it ridiculous, but the characters in which that it affects are very nonchalant about like considering the dramatic ramifications of like what happens at the end. Seem pretty cool with it.
It's pretty good.
But it's a pretty damn good game. I got really sad because I played a few online matches and I was like, this is fun. I lost most of them, but I was like, this is fun. But like I had to put it down because I was like, I know I'm not going to sit here for the next month and just get like in order to get what I want to get out of the crypt. It's going to just take grinding and grinding and grinding in like online matches and whatnot. I just don't think I have the patience for it. I mean, I really enjoy the game. I think it plays beautifully for that kind of fighting game, and I loved it, but I'm done with it. I think moving on to the next thing.
There you go.
I will say the one cool thing about the crypt is how it's like a full map out of like all the original Mortal Kombat.
I have been reluctant.
Conceptually,
I have
that's
been
cool,
reluctant to take it off of my shelf completely because I know I might occasionally pop it in because I don't feel like I really got enough. Because you play through the campaign, you don't get to experience any of the fatalities because they don't kill off the characters in the campaign for the most part. So you don't really get to do any of those things. So I don't feel like I've gotten to experience like that part of it.
So did y'all see the Shang Tsung trailer or like any of his fatalities? Oh my god, they're like amazing. So there's this fatality. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I don't like love Mortal Kombat, and most of those fatalities are fine, but like he's got some that are like really good.
I mean, the ones that I've seen so far have been pretty damn good, and I like most of the characters. Like I ended up as I was playing through the campaign, I found a few characters that like I really like the way they control that I may not have ever gravitated towards if I was just playing online matches and whatnot. So it's a nice way to like try out all the different characters. But I don't know. I like the way that game feels. It feels really like every time you hit someone, like you fucking feel it. It's so good.
Is that the rumble in the controller, like the haptic
No, I mean
feedback?
not even. It has a lot to do with the audio design too. Just like the way, just like the nice,
Feels like you're just punching some meat.
Yeah, just like fucking hitting some meat, beating some meat,
slapping that meat.
All right, I'm done with that.
Nick, you like fighting games.
I liked a fighting game. I mean, I finished a fighting game, which is something I don't think I've ever done before. I mean,
find
finished
that
just
hard to
loose.
believe.
Like I finished it and I got like 11. Like it's like you've gotten 11% of the trophies, and I was like, well, I've barely scratched the fucking surface of this game. Oh, by the way, I platinumed Days Gone. It's my second. It's my second platinum.
You love this game so much. If this is not your game of the year, I'm going to be really upset with you.
We'll see.
I don't want to hear no cop out
meat.
bullshit. What was the one?
Have I ever let you down? Have I ever fucking let you down?
You almost didn't put Detroit on your top 10 list. I was
true,
like,
you didn't.
and it seemed so like not genuine. It seemed like bullshit.
But I did put it on there.
Okay, but it took convincing. We had to have an intervention.
It was a tough year.
No, it wasn't.
It was
You
a
just
real
weren't
tough-
being true to yourself. And I'm telling you,
Well, no,
Days Gone better be your number one. What was your first platinum?
Spider-Man.
You do love
But,
that game way too
Spider-Man is also a really easy platinum. Like it doesn't
Sure.
take a lot of effort.
Oh, so Days Gone is a hard platinum.
I mean, it took me 70 hours. I got when I finally got towards I finished the story in that game. It was like, well, I only need like 3 more to get the platinum in this game, but those 3 were kind of a bitch. But I did them. And then it's so like I always expect when
Do
you get a
you like
platinum, you're
Days
gonna
Go-
get this like really
Okay,
satisfying like cha-ching.
Nick.
You know what I mean? Like you're gonna feel it, right?
Nick, just
it's like no sound effect. It just like pops up like every other trophy, and I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
Answer me this question, and then we can move on.
Anticlimactic.
Well, yeah, platinums aren't like. There's
I know.
not fireworks.
I know
and
there
shit.
should be though. There should be some kind of like celebration or something.
Well, yeah, you get a platinum trophy.
Nick,
Fuck.
That's the celebration.
do you? I want
You should be able to walk around PlayStation Home and look at all your platinum trophies.
answer
It's an
this
empty
game.
achievement.
Answer this question truthfully, and we can move on. Do you like Days Gone
Yes.
more than Resident Evil 2 remake?
Ooh, I have not decided yet. Believe me, it is a question I have
That
already started to
close,
ask
huh?
myself.
You have $5 to find out.
The thing is, it's so like
close.
there's
They're
two
both zombie games.
They're
both zombie games.
two totally different kinds of zombie games, though. Two totally.
All
different
you know
kinds.
is that a zombie game is always going to be your favorite game. of the
Ooh,
year.
and Days Gone sets up a
Days Gone.
sequel, and it's going to be interesting.
I sat down and I made my. So I've been looking for a game that
Weeks
I can
gone.
kind of play with Malia together, right? Kind of like we did
Yeah.
Red Dead, or some games with like stories and stuff. And the two I showed her trailers for was Days Gone and the one.
Wait,
with
what
the rats.
context? Wait, what context were you showing Malia trailers?
Games that we can like sit down and play together. Because I haven't.
Wait, why'd you pick Days Gone for something you can sit down and play together? Maybe I'm not
Not like
understanding
a co-op
your
game.
criteria.
I mean, like we played Red Dead, like
Oh,
a game
gotcha,
that we
gotcha,
experienced
gotcha.
from beginning to end, and I don't play it without her watching. You know,
And the other one was A Plague Tale.
or a Plague Tale, because those are kind of like the only games from this year I've seen that seem like very story driven, kind of. Or I mean, not that Days Gone story driven, but it's like Red Dead with a motorcycle, right?
Days Gone is very story driven. There is
Okay.
so much dialogue and cutscenes in that game that I have.
But I think she's leaning towards the Rats game because she says she doesn't
The
really like
Rats
zombie
game.
fiction. I don't know.
then
Unless
she would
it's-
probably enjoy it. And not to mention the Rats game is a smaller commitment.
That one's good too, though.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
Final
pretty
boss in that
good.
game is a fucking dick, though.
Okay.
Like, for a game that doesn't have much combat, and then you get to a point where there's an actual, like, boss fight, my God.
Can't think of any other.
It's like
game
throwing
from
you
this
into
year.
the deep end of the pool. Like, it's just...
Any other game from this year that has like a story, that would be good to kind of sit through?
Metro's had a pretty good story.
Metro, but that's too like
I'd have to
It's
look at my
bleak.
list.
That's bleak.
poorly translated.
No, actually, the translate. I mean, I don't know about the exact translation, but like the presentation of Metro, the story is actually pretty damn decent.
Okay, maybe I'll look into that.
Anyways, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll hit like 10 news topics. So much news, and then of course we'll answer a few questions from our supporters on Patreon, and we'll do supporter spotlight and all that good stuff. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Cool. I hope you guys are ready because we have so much news. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. We have a ton of fucking news. This is the week before E3. I'm gonna be honest, my hype boner for E3 took a really long time to get going, but we have officially reached like one of the biggest news weeks of the year, and there's like
it's
all
pretty
kinds. There's
ridiculous.
so much stuff happening every single day. We have a lot to talk about. We didn't have a show last week too, so there's a few things that happened last week that we didn't have a chance to talk about yet. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have Chris Davis randomly hit us with news topics. We have about 8 or 9 of these things. and we're just going to go down the list and see what happens. So just pick one at random, Chris Davis.
People who listen to the audio podcast probably have no idea what that means when we say hit us with a news topic, Chris Davis, and then he doesn't say anything.
Oh, yeah, right. Sorry, we have a screen. Chris Davis clicks a button, and we see the topic pop up. That's what's happening. Have we painted an adequate
Read the
picture?
topic, Nick.
The news topic is, and this is today, this happened today, Larian Studios, the studio behind Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2, which we all know we're fans of here, Brad especially is a huge fan of those games, announced that they were making Baldurs Gate 3. That's part one of the news topic, which is probably the big one. And then also Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 is coming to consoles in like a collector's
which is a completely different news topic, but
yes. Well, I didn't
sort of interesting. I wonder how they're going to do that.
They're all Baldur's Gate related. Bundled
You're just
going
to control it with a analog stick? It seems weird. Because they're coming to like PS4.
It's coming to Switch and PS4 and Xbox.
I mean,
maybe they're completely
StarCraft was on consoles on the 64.
Yeah, but that wasn't anything
I know.
anyone would want to
I know.
emulate.
I'm saying my hope is they figured out a way to make it
They're
playable.
really going to have to like
they made
hack
Baldur's
that
Gate
up
2
to make it work.
They made Baldur's Gate 2 Dark Alliance. I don't know how different
Those are very different games.
different games.
Dark Alliance are like Diablo likes.
Mm-hmm.
This is like
CRPG.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so the big news here is Baldur's Gate 3 is happening. It's official. We were seeing teases last week or even earlier
No,
than that.
they did a tease, but people figured out through like,
Internet sleuthing.
Yeah, internet sleuthing that it was actually Baldur's Gate 3, so it kind of took a little bit of the wind out of the sails. If I had seen this trailer and I saw it was Baldur's Gate 3, I would have been losing my mind. But then when I saw it was Larian Studios, which I think is the real exciting part here.
Yes.
Then I would have like fucking died. But
this is like a dream project for you, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely a fucking dream project because so Baldur's Gate, if you know, that's sort of the series that put BioWare back on the map back in the 90s, and Baldur's Gate 2 especially is like, one of the most beloved RPGs or video games of all time. BioWare since then have sort of become a very different studio.
A shadow of its former self, if you will.
Dragon Age is sort of a spiritual successor to it, but not with the D&D license anymore. But, people still have had a lot of love for Baldur's Gate. And that love for Baldur's Gate is why, Obsidian, was very successfully kickstarted Pillars of Eternity, because Pillars of Eternity was just a spiritual successor to Baldur's Gate by people who used to work on Baldur's Gate. And even, Divinity Original Sin.
Sounds like somebody read Blood, Sweat, and Pixels.
That was a really interesting chapter, too.
Divinity Original Sin was also just, it's channeling old CRPGs that, again, a lot of people love because of things like Baldur's Gate. But I don't think I would have trusted modern BioWare to bring back Baldur's Gate in a way that would make me super confident and excited.
Yeah. But
no,
Larian,
I definitely agree with that.
But Larian, on the other hand, like Divinity Original Sin 2, both those games honestly are some of the best CRPGs ever, I think. And to hear that they're the ones that are going to be doing Baldur's Gate really is kind of a dream come true.
That trailer was fucking wicked too. Like that was. Yeah. That was cool. It was purely cinematic. We didn't really get a taste of like what it's gonna look or play like or anything like that. But like seeing the dude like, what is that supposed to be the mind
flayers,
illithid. Yeah, so, like that was got some Cthulhu shit in
here.
It
was really it's weird that they would start like Google would do this big presentation for this thing that people have been waiting for and open it with that, which is like super disturbing. And like very like mature rated, like the transformation of this
it was horrifying.
Transformation of this dude
up.
into this thing is a very weird thing to kind of start your presentation with. But whatever. If I have any sort of concerns here, it would be that I think one of the many reasons that Divinity Original Sin, those two games are so brilliant, is this wonderful turn-based combat system that they've created. Seriously, one of the best combat systems in the history of games, in my opinion. Baldur's Gate famously has real time with pause, which is something I've kind of notoriously hated. When Dragon Age came along, they introduced AI scripting, right? Kind of like the Gambit system in Final Fantasy 12, and that sort of made it tolerable because back in the day, you would like pause, issue a bunch of commands, and that would take like 30 seconds, and then you'd unpause, and then like a second later you'd pause again because everything sort of shifted an inch, and that changes everything. And you spent more time just pausing and issuing commands than you did actually just real time in the game, and I just hate the flow of that. Pillars of Eternity, when that first one came out, it was Real Time with Pause because it was spiritual successor to Baldur's Gate, and that's what Baldur's Gate had, and I kind of hated that. But as Pillars of Eternity 1 through patches and updates, and then Pillars of Eternity 2 through patches and updates, now Pillars of Eternity 2, it just has turn. You could just play it in completely turn-based with some of that AI scripting as well that you saw in Dragon Age, because I think what they've realized is that Real Time with Pause kind of sucks. I mean, so I would hate if Larian kind of threw out all this brilliant shit they created to do Real Time with Pause just because that's what people are expecting.
I was reading an article about how they ended up getting this project earlier, and they were talking about how they had originally, or one of the heads of the studio had originally approached Wizards. Wizards about getting the IP, and they were originally had said, no, we don't really, you're too new, like we don't know anything about you, whatever.
Well,
and then
not
after
new,
I know, but like his words were too green, right? So they didn't give him the IP at first, and then they released Divinity Original Sin, and then they were working on Divinity Original Sin 2, and then Wizards reapproached them after seeing what they did with the first Divinity, and said, do you still want to do this? And they were like, absolutely.
Well, there was a thing when Divinity Original Sin 2 was first coming out, where they went to Wizards of the Coast with the game and were showing them the game master. Just being like, this is what this could be as a tool set for D&D, like that kind of thing. So
that probably sparked sparked this whole thing,
because that seems to be pretty well received, like conceptually from them. I don't know how many people actually use it in the real world, but that definitely seemed like kind of the spark of the relationship between.
And it sounds like they've had this IP without anybody knowing about it for at least since like 2017, I think. So like this project, even though they were working on, or before because when did Original Sin 2 come out? Was it 2017?
17.
I think so.
So I think it was just prior to the finishing production on 2017 is when they acquired this. So theoretically, they've already been working on this project for probably a year and a half.
Yeah, I hope they definitely kind of give it some time though, because it's sort of a big deal, I think, for them and for everyone. And I wouldn't want it to come out like this year necessarily. I mean, it's exciting if it would, but I want them to
do it right.
Do it right.
It's cool. Question.
It's amazing, right? Because prior to Original Sin 1, Larian's been around for a long time. And when they first started making games like around 2000 or whatever, in the era that Baldur's Gate 2 was coming out, they had their own series, Divinity, Divine Divinity and Beyond Divinity, and those were kind of old school CRPGs. But then there was this really rocky period where they were kind of doing not great stuff, like Divinity 2, which was this Euro jank Elder Scrolls
Divinity
knockoff.
Is separate from Divinity Original Sin.
Yeah, Divinity has been around for a long time. When they did Divinity 2, that was on Xbox 360 even, as a shitty...
I remember those games.
Yeah, that was really Euro jank.
That was Larian?
Yeah, that was Larian. Divinity Original Sin 2 sort of put them back on the map and turn them, or let people know that these is a really respectable game developer here. They could handle this.
I have a question.
They did RTS,
and then we can move on from this. This is very exciting. Yeah. This is exciting because for me, it's exciting because I've never played a Baldur's Gate game, and I've always.
This would probably be a good one to start with.
Well, my question, I don't know if my real question is, if I had to pick something to play now that would to get me into the genre. I've never played a
Original
CRPG.
Sin 2. Play Divinity Original Sin 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Divinity Original Sin 2. You could even play that with
Robin.
With Robin. Her in her room and you in your room. However y'all do it, that's fine. But you could play co-op.
That's cool.
I wonder how much of because the original Baldur's Gate,
they're hard to go back
1 or 2. Those ran on a version of. They actually used D&D rule set. They ran on Advanced D&D 2nd Edition, which was notoriously kind of arcane and just kind of weird. It was before
THQ.
Yeah, THQ. It was before the modern D20 system came around. But now that they're on the 5th edition, I mean, there was a lot. It seemed like in Divinity Original Sin and Original Sin 2, in particular, there was a lot of similarity, a lot of inspiration from what how D&D had also evolved.
Yeah.
So it seems like if they were going to follow that same pattern and they were going to make Baldur's Gate with like the official like D&D 5th edition rule set, like that could be super exciting, because I think the way magic worked in the original Sin games was fucking incredible, but to see that paired with like the classic like D&D suite of spells, some of them would be pretty much the same, but I think you would see a little more than just like the elemental kind of like playoff that they already did really well. There's a lot of like really crazy weird spells, and to see them put that kind of imagination, that kind of like design talent towards conceptualizing those spells for like a full D&D like video game would be really exciting.
I would seeing other people get excited for Baldur's Gate 3 got me really excited about trying a game in this genre.
Try Original Sin 2, trust me.
Okay. Cool. That's what I wanted to know. All right. Next news topic. Okay. So, we finally got confirmation from Square Enix that they're going to be revealing Marvel's Avengers at E3 on, so that'll be Monday night, which we will be doing live commentary on. I think Nolan will probably be joining us for that.
That's in the evening?
Yeah, it's evening. It's like, I think it's on the schedule. It's like 7 o'clock or something. It's basically during Sony's old time, if that tells you anything. Which will be even, I think it's 7 o'clock here. Or,
okay, that's better.
Or 8 o'clock here and 6 o'clock.
Here.
Yeah, it's on the schedule. But they're going to officially unveil that Avengers game that we saw a tease of like 2 years ago, I think, or maybe 3 years ago.
It was a while ago.
How do we? Okay, I'm getting nervous. I'm getting a little nervous.
It's either going to be really good or really bad.
Because I'm going to tell you this. First of all, it is Crystal Dynamics, and regardless of even if you're not super thrilled about like how the direction they took Tomb Raider, they made some really solid games, even if it wasn't necessarily the direction some people wanted Tomb Raider to go. But they made some cool narrative, like exciting games, right? Story-driven games, which is kind of what I want this game to be. I want, especially after playing something like Spider-Man last year. Like I would love to see.
I'm pretty sure we know this.
That kind of approach,
like almost Destiny-like.
Is that? See, that's what I'm getting nervous about, man. Like I want this game to be for me.
How do you have a Destiny-style game with Avengers? You could.
Well, I mean, here's the obvious question.
Do we have like 14 Hulks running around?
I mean, no. The obvious question you have to ask yourself when you're thinking about this is...
I believe latest I heard is that you do play as the characters.
Yeah, I mean, but this is all just kind of rumor.
No, but that's my question: is if it's like Divinity-like, and I'm like, oh, I want to be Iron Man, and Nick's like, no, I want to be Iron
Destiny?
Man. Sorry, thank you.
I mean, maybe it's more instance-based where there's not 14.
I mean, they have already said they are gonna. It's going to be narrative. Like they're telling a story, but the question is, do you have to experience that story playing with other people? I don't necessarily think it has to be a Destiny-like, but like if it's a game where I just can't sit down and play and enjoy the story like I did Spider-Man, it's going to be a bummer.
Name a game where you can't play it by yourself these days. A game that would potentially be on your radar.
What? I don't understand the question.
I'm saying like he says like I just want to sit down and play through it by myself, but I mean you could do that with Destiny or Division or Monster Hunter. You don't have to play those with other people.
You're right.
So like there's no reason to expect that if this game is trying to be that type of game that you wouldn't be able to play it by yourself. I mean, I really don't
but
believe
also it's
that would
the question
happen.
is
this is not Left 4 Dead with superheroes. I don't think it is.
Left 4 Dead's a good example. Like that's kind of a game like you wouldn't play that by yourself.
Exactly, but I don't think that's what a Destiny-like is.
I don't think so either. And I don't even want to say that like if it's a Destiny-like that it couldn't be really exciting and cool.
You know what though? We'll find out on Monday.
We will.
An AI-controlled Hulk would be cool.
Maybe.
If it is like Left 4 Dead.
What if it's like one of those things where like you play as like a new hero in the Avengers and everything?
I really hope
so stinky.
It's like South Park Fractured Butthole. Like you're the new superhero in town. I really hope that they do have a bunch of like Marvel heroes and Visions in there, but he's not a playable character. He's just AI.
I see what you did there, Nolan. Crispy, real quick. I don't like it. Dream character that would appear in the Avengers as a playable character.
Dream character.
Moon Knight. We like Moon Knight.
God damn it,
But I don't fucking Stiltsman.
All right, good answer. Stilts man. I didn't know that was a thing. All right,
There you go.
next
Nick,
news
everything.
topic.
He was a
thing.
villain. He was a villain, and I
Of course
think
he
he
was.
got murdered by the Punisher.
Nice.
Of course he did. All right,
Should have had some taller stilts.
Yeah.
all right.
Well, that wasn't the problem.
Here's a big one that we didn't get to talk about last week because we didn't have a show last week. But Hideo Kojima and Kojima Productions released an 8.5-minute long trailer for Death Stranding and gave it a release date of November 8th. That game is not only almost done, it is coming out this year. It's kind of crazy to think
You
about.
can pre-order now to get a fucking jar baby.
Little baby in a jar.
That's true. What did y'all think of the trailer? That was a... I mean, Nolan is on blackout. He hasn't watched it yet.
I was into it, man. All
No,
the
I-
fucking the tight ropes and the ladders,
The hands.
and everything.
I don't really know what to think, honestly.
It's like every time they cut to gameplay, I think to myself, like, what the
It's
fuck?
a-
Won't tell us what the fucking game
it's a
is.
Which is
perfect.
That's
exactly what I want.
It's a social.
No, I mean he
strand
did tell us
system.
what it is. He's just using terminology that he invented.
I want this game to come out, and when you start playing it, you still have no idea what the fuck is going on.
It's like people
I
are
want
like,
this
what?
to be like the craziest fucking game in the world.
People are like begging, like, just
Well,
tell us what type of game it is. It's like it's a Strand game. Come on, guys.
Guys, it's a social strand system.
Yeah, don't
like
be
if at some
stupid.
point I'm not randomly controlling that baby,
No, it's funny.
just crawling
it's
around,
funny.
I'm gonna be upset.
Hideo Kojima, someone asked him like, "So what is the genre?" And his response was, "So it's like when I created Metal Gear Solid and I titled it. I did what is it? Tactical espionage action. I wanted to do the same thing here. So I this one is called Social Strand System. It's like one of those is very descriptive. The other still leaves me completely clueless as to what this game
And why
actually
is it called a social strand system if it's a single player game? And do we get to go to the moon or not?
The baby is the moon, Crispy.
Stop.
I'm pretty sure you go to the moon in this game at some point. But you know what? The things they showed, one thing that this trailer made clear, which I think is kind of exciting, is that it is open world. And like, but the way that you interact in the open world seems crazy. Like, you know, like pulling fucking like ladders out of your backpack. Sorry.
Your impossibly large backpack.
Yeah. And like watching him like run through the field, like he's trying to like avoid these enemies while
Dude,
he's wearing that
didn't
giant backpack on his back.
Didn't somebody take a screen cap of the command wheel and show that there's like a command for taking a piss?
Yes, I think. You know what? I absolutely 100% believe that's in the game.
Maybe there's certain enemies who are weak to pee.
It's like you have to like control the amount of pee in your blood.
Yeah.
It's one of the systems.
Maybe the baby in the jar is filled with urine.
Oh god.
That's how it survives.
Stop it.
You know, I do
looks
want to
like
say.
It's sterile.
I do want to say that this game
pop it
is,
off.
despite the fact that I watched this whole trailer like 3 times, like the fact that I still don't really know what it is, yet I'm somehow still really excited for it is kind of just fun.
Dude,
like
I'm ready for it.
it's
Put that
Hideo
bullshit right,
Kojima's
Benjamin.
obnoxious though.
Hideo
He's
Kojima's
so
a
obsessed
crazy-
with Hollywood. He's casted like multiple just film directors as like characters in this
Yeah.
game.
There
Like-
gets to be one person like him in the industry, and Hideo Kojima is it.
Yep,
So
Pretty
he's allowed
much.
to do it.
pretty much. Oh yeah, I saw that, Chris.
You fool.
Hold on, I'll read this. It's a tweet. It says me. So what genre of game is Death Stranding? Kojima. You fool. You absolute buffoon. How dare you even ask me such a question? Mads Mikkelsen and Norman Reedus burst into the interview room and began beating me with sticks.
That's a pretty good summary.
I gotta say though, like I feel like this whole thing of Death Stranding has informed me, and like I now have a deeper understanding of the kind of person that both Norman Reedus and Mads Mikkelsen are.
But is that you? I can't. Is that a negative thing?
I mean, I think they're the kind of people who are like very much fascinated by like
Like
crazy
abstract
auteur.
and, like auteur.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which is-
what's not to be fascinated with? It's fascinating.
but or to be like almost like hypnotized.
Sure.
You know,
I will-
Mesmerized.
Mesmerized.
I will tell you this.
Glamored.
like I'll tell you this, and I've been a big proponent. I've been a huge fan of Hannibal for some time. Like Mads Mikkelsen, like the fact that he's involved, I'm super excited. Maybe less so
Hannibal's
Norman
been on
Reedus,
my
but
watch list for a
it's
while.
it's an impressive
Less
cast.
so Norman Reedus?
I mean, I like Norman
the star
Reedus.
of Silent Hills?
Fuck off. Why'd you bring that up, man? But you know what? It's cool.
Everyone likes him on that zombie show,
It is
right?
crazy, guys. It is crazy. Like, I remember thinking to myself just like 6 months ago that like Death Stranding is probably still like a game that we won't even see for 3 years. You know what I mean?
Nope.
But
By this Christmas.
yes.
When does Guillermo del Toro show up in the game?
Well, he's in the trailer. I'll tell you that much.
Wait, is he the
Same with
baby?
Nicholas
No,
Winding
he's
Refn.
holding the baby.
But life like time is circular,
Right.
so he's holding himself.
Nicholas Winding Refn
But it's
is
a
also
flat
in it.
circle.
Yeah.
And
Is that the other director? There's also a character named Die Hard Man.
Hideo
Die Hard
Kojima has a cameo, I believe, in a Nicholas Winding Refn movie that's coming
This is
out.
all making so much sense.
It's all coming together now.
But you know what? This is an exciting. Like, it's the fact that this is coming out this year is exciting. Like I didn't think for a million years this game would be out before the end of 2019.
All right. At any point in time in this game, do you touch a woman's boobies and it makes the sound of an elephant? Like,
Oh, is that you're referencing Police Knots, aren't
Yeah.
you? Haha! I don't think so. But
damn.
of course, the game is not out yet, so who knows? It could go either way. Anyways, I think that's all we need to say about Death Stranding. The game's coming out in the not too distant future, so that's exciting. So, next news topic.
Oh, it's a show for Amazon. Okay.
What?
Too old to die young.
Okay.
I guess he's doing a show on Amazon. But
All right, well,
Hideo Kojima is like,
What's the story here?
all right. There's not okay. I'm bringing this up.
I believe he's like a Yakuza,
Hideo Kojima's in the Yakuza?
well, I think he's like some badass Yakuza dude. He's like in this show.
Oh, in the show.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant like in life.
All right, next news topic. Well, this one will be a quick one, but Activision has officially revealed the next Call of Duty, and it is Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Okay.
I'm gonna be
Sure.
honest, guys. I'm gonna be honest. don't
Did
you
I
fucking
this is
say
what
it.
he does?
Don't you
With
fucking
every
say
Call
it.
of
bro.
Duty?
No, I won't say I'm actually getting kind of
Duty.
excited. I will straight up say I'm excited. I will say I'm excited because Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare series is the only Call of Duty series of games that has ever really gotten me like genuinely excited about playing this. Modern Warfare 1 is still to this day one of my favorite military shooters I've ever played. So if they can recapture any of that magic in this, I don't even know if it's a reboot or a direct sequel or what. It's kind of, they're being kind of unclear about it. Chris Davis is going to fill me in.
It is a quote-unquote reimagining of the original Modern Warfare.
Wait, they're not going to tell the same story, are
No,
they?
they're not.
It's like a it's
So
like
how is that a
re-
reimagining?
That just sounds like a
supposedly
reboot.
it's Modern
They're
Warfare, like
imagining they made a
today's
different
Modern
game.
Warfare. Where
Yeah.
it's like you fighting like militants and insurgencies and things like
Yeah,
that.
but
as opposed
like
to
Yeah.
the other one.
Like half the game, supposedly you play as
I mean,
a freedom fighter. In
They're gonna,
Arab country.
It seems pretty heavily, So
I still don't
you're
see
gonna,
how that
you're
answers
gonna
any
jump back
questions
and
as to why
forth.
it's called Modern Warfare.
I mean,
Because it's modern.
because that's a name they can sell.
it's a name they can sell, and it has characters that they introduced in Modern Warfare
is
that
it-
were exclusive
although-
to Modern
Wouldn't
Warfare.
any game they release be called Modern Warfare unless it took place in the past on purpose?
I mean, there's Future Warfare.
You know what?
Black Ops.
The naming thing is kind of dumb, all right? The naming thing is kind of dumb, but I will say this. None of the other Call of Duties, in my opinion, have ever really lived up to the quality of the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare series. So to see them kind of return to that, because I haven't been a fan of the direction the series has gone since Modern Warfare 2. So, like, to see them...
That's the only Call of Duty game I've ever played.
Modern Warfare 2?
It does
only
not
played it
have
'cause it
Billy
came with my
Murray
Xbox.
as Captain Price, though.
But only you noticed that.
And only you care.
I was like, oh, I know that guy. Cool. I mean, his voice was close enough.
I'm pretty certain
It's
a lot
close
of other
enough.
people noticed that.
This was not a Sam Fisher situation. I don't even buy the Sam Fisher thing. So, anyways, let's move on. Call of Duty Modern Warfare is coming out in October. And you know what? I'm going to fucking play this one for sure.
One of the funny things about Hideo Kojima is like, I don't know if it's
Brad's
like
been clocked out of this entire
like
conversation.
it's a lost in like or it's like a mistranslation or whatever, but he often refers to like certain people as like his best friends.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed like, oh, my buddy, you know, he's like my best friend, Nicholas Winding Refn or whatever, right? So he's calling these people like his best friend, And people are kind of like posting memes about Jeff Keighley because everyone sort of made the joke about like Jeff Keighley used to be his best friend. Now it's, fucking, Guillermo del Toro or whatever. Mm-hmm. And you ever see the picture of like the two Indian guys, I think, like friendship ended with Mudasir. Now Salam is my best friend. And there's X's over like his former best friend. People are doing that with like Jeff Keighley. This is the original.
Oh, yeah.
Friendship ended with Jeff Keighley.
Yeah.
All right, this is not the actual meme. That's the original.
Yeah, that's where it came from, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man. It's so funny. Oh, sorry.
What's next in the news?
All right, next in the news. All right, so first big leak, I think, prior to E3 was...
Here's one you'd understand, just so you know how the meme works.
Let me see.
Yes, I
Share
get
the
it.
meme.
I get it. It's a Red Dead meme. All right. You focused, Brad?
I'm
Are you back here? Are you in the show?
Yeah, I'm focused.
All right. Watch Dogs leak. So Watch Dogs Legion has officially leaked, and Ubisoft has subsequently confirmed this leak ahead of their press conference, which is also on Monday. We will be getting our first look at that. It has been confirmed to take place in London, and the big gimmick here, I guess, that they're going to be introducing is this feature that lets you basically take over and play as any NPC in the game.
You can hack people's brains.
And here's the thing. I've heard a lot of people speculating about what this actually means for the game and how it's going to work. And to me, it just...
I told you.
I see. You're wrong, though. I'm pretty sure you're wrong. But no one's really talked about it. But I think it's actually a really cool idea. The game is called Watch Dogs Legion. Mm-hmm. I would be willing to bet this is recruiting as many people as you possibly can to join your
cause,
your group, and you're literally jumping around town into these different characters doing different things to progress the story forward.
Sounds like Mind Jack, according to GamerBeck in chat.
Hack the planet.
Mind Jack. You don't remember Square Enix's Mind Jack?
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Chris Davis?
I mean, that what you just described, Nick, is basically the plot of Watch Dogs 2. They were trying to get followers, and
they were trying to get followers,
but
they weren't hijacking their mind.
You're right. So you're right. In Watch Dogs,
Ubisoft's Drivers San Francisco.
Yes, where you jump between the cars.
Yeah.
It is kind of like that, which was cool.
It's probably gonna be something similar, but it's gonna be jumping between people, and there's actually gonna be a narrative explanation as to why you can do that. But yes, you're right. In Watch Dogs 2, you were trying to build followers. The difference here being probably that not only do you collect followers, but they become playable characters that you can jump between. So you're building this huge it's kind of it's like a evolution of the Assassin's Creed Brotherhood thing where you're building up your group of assassins and whatnot, but it's probably taking it to the next level, I would assume.
The most exciting part of this project, though, is the potential for multiplayer, what they could do with this.
You're right.
The hide and seek multiplayer was so good.
I think I've always thought the Watch Dogs multiplayer is a really cool idea, and what I've dabbled in is really great. I'm a little nervous that because it's called Legion and because there's this emphasis on
it's
NPCs,
gonna be a
whatever,
Destiny-like,
not a Destiny-like, but kind of like a
multiplayer
game, everything where you
it's
kind of have to play multiplayer.
It's going to sort of remove that interesting tech angle that you relied on in the previous Watch Dogs games, where you're jacking into street cameras and
I don't think so at all. I think it's going to be recruiting people to your cause, teaching them.
No,
how
I know,
to
but I mean,
use
if you could
these
just jump into people, then all of a sudden, relying on the tech of the city.
The question is,
it doesn't really matter because you could just.
Well, no. Here's the question. What will really kind of dictate how this plays out is when can you jump between people? Is it at any time, or is it at specific moments, or before you go on a mission, you choose who you're going to go out as? Whatever it is, I don't know what it is, but I think the idea is a really cool idea. Yeah. I just hope it doesn't lose any of that flavor or humor that Watch Dogs 2 had. Because I'm going to be honest,
I heard it's not that kind of game. It can't be really enjoyed single player.
Fuck off. One of my biggest regrets, I think, of this generation was actually waiting on playing Watch Dogs 2. I just played that last year for the first time, and I was like, holy shit, this game is great. It is such a huge step forward from Watch Dogs 1.
Take me on in the multiplayer. I dare you. I fucking dare you. All I know is if they don't have Diane Young in this game, I'm going to be fucking pissed.
Why is it not called Watch Dogs 3, though?
I mean, they probably didn't want to...
Spin-off or a real game?
It's called Watch Dogs 3.
I mean, I think at some point it's just if you want to make a series... if you want to make a series and get to a point where people aren't just rolling their eyes every time you announce a new one, you got to drop the number, right?
3's not too high.
No, but if you want to go to 4, 5, 6, you don't want it to be Watch Dogs 6. You want it to be Watch Dogs this, and not to mention something like Legion. I think is a much more descriptive title.
They should have called this Watch Cerberus.
Way to kill the room. Way to kill the room.
I'm sorry, you're not intelligent enough to understand it.
I don't get it, Nolan.
I'm
It was a
sorry.
little highbrow, Nolan. Don't worry about it.
Well, 2 years from now, we got to have Watch Dogs Revelations, and then
Stop
we
it.
can go into Watch Dogs 3.
Hey,
Cerberus is the mythical beast, the dog with 3 heads.
Yes, I'm familiar with that at least.
Okay. And this is the 3rd Watch Dogs game.
Oh, I get it.
There you go.
Okay. See? I get it. I'm highbrow.
I don't think this is a news topic, but in a recent episode of the Kotaku podcast,
Definitely
that Jason
not.
Schreier's on,
Yes.
he talked about info that he knows. They were kind of going down the line of like, hey, these are my predictions, and this is actually stuff I just know about. One of the things was when he was talking about the Ubisoft press conference, he mentioned 2 things that seemed kind of interesting. One is that game Pioneer is still alive, and that
Which
it
one-
is like
which
a
one was-
space game.
Which one was? Oh, is that the one they
There was like a
teased
tease,
in?
in Watch Dogs,
Dogs
2.
2?
Yeah, that thing is still alive, and we might even see that at E3, which is kind of cool. Could be
But
like
I've also heard there's rumblings that it's been retooled and is now like a co-op game or like a multiplayer game of some kind.
I'm sorry.
I'm not even kidding. I'm not making this up. Like
No,
that. I read today that Pioneer was retooled at some point in development and is now multiplayer
That's
focused.
really
hear
unfortunate for you.
It is unfortunate, you fucker.
You can't be mad that it was retooled because we never even saw what this game was.
I
But-
know. I just want everything to be single
So
player.
the other thing
bitches.
is a game codename Orpheus. Now, if you know Jason Schreier, you know that he's very kind of selective about the stuff that he reveals based on what
Yes.
he knows.
Yeah.
Like if he doesn't feel like there's really a point to like spoiling something that he knows, like say he's claimed he knows what Rocksteady's been working on, but he doesn't really have a reason to kind of tell people, and that's kind of upset people.
He doesn't feel like he doesn't want to just reveal things for the clicks. In other words,
Yeah, exactly. And when he talked about this other game, which is Project Orpheus, I think is the code name, he made it seem like he knows more, but he kind of doesn't want to say, which leads me to believe that it is something related to a kind of a known quantity or like a known series, because if he just revealed the name of like a new IP, then that wouldn't really translate to anything that would be like quote unquote a spoiler.
Are there any
so
ideas
he
here?
he described it as sort of a big open action adventure thing that is very Breath of the Wild-esque.
Oh, but then he clarified. Okay, I don't know if you saw this, but he
Okay.
tweeted like an hour before we went live that he needed to clarify when he said Breath of the Wild, he was referring to art style, not gameplay.
Oh, okay. I
Yes,
didn't see
he
that
did.
tweet.
He said it was smaller in
A
scope.
small
so
scoped RPG, not an action adventure.
yeah.
Okay, but either way, we know that there's some potentially exciting stuff that we don't really know about yet coming to the Ubisoft press conference, and that's kinda cool.
We also know that one of the things they're going to announce that's new IP though is that roller derby game of some kind. So I don't know.
Nick Slaggin roller derby
No, I mean it's just
as in
you know,
Austinite.
Moving on.
The
Next.
problem is, Nick, is that game is multiplayer only.
Yeah, or co-op, but can't be enjoyed
I'm
single player.
just gonna get railed for this for the rest of the show, aren't I?
All right, what's next? News.
Next news topic. Okay, THQ started announcing new games yesterday. They said they were going to do 3 new games. They've announced 2 of them so far. The first one was a SpongeBob game.
SpongeBob remaster
Yeah.
of a
Battle of Bikini Bottom.
Battle Bikini Bottom. And I know a lot of people have actually been pretty excited about this.
I think people like SpongeBob. I don't think any of those SpongeBob games were like quote unquote great.
Yeah.
Some of them were okay.
There's been a few people.
Some of them were games. So.
There's been a few. I mean, but Battle for Bikini Bottom has notoriously been kind of considered like the. I'm trying to think of.
Okayest of them.
The gold standard of
like the
SpongeBob
Simpsons hit and
video
run
game.
of SpongeBob. You know what I mean?
Hit and Run was a good game. I don't think Bikini Bottom was that, but you know,
I'm just saying what I've heard. I'm not a SpongeBob fan, so I don't know, but that's what I've heard. But anyways, and then today they announced that Darksiders game that they've been teasing, or the people was expecting. Darksiders Genesis, right?
I think you mean Dark Side Genesis.
Oh fuck! Damn it! I missed typo. I'm so sorry. Darksiders Genesis, which is, I was a little surprised first because I was like, they just released Darksiders 3 like 6 months ago. It's
Not
still
that
sitting on my
long
shelf
ago.
waiting to be played. How are they going to do another Darksiders? It turns out it's a spinoff. It's a like a Diablo clone, where you play as Strife,
Which is fine.
which is cool. I mean, it's a neat.
Hopefully, it's open world with like Metroidvania elements, like you expect from a Darksiders game.
I'm hoping this is at E3.
But if
because-
it's just a Diablo clone, that's kind of not super interesting because Diablo clones are kind of a dime a dozen, honestly.
yeah,
And I was thinking, it should be more like Tomb Raider, the Guardian, or Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light, because that is a game that at a glance kind of looks like Diablo, but it's like much more about like puzzle solving and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can do a lot more in that.
I hope it's not
isometric view without it being just a mindless hack and slash. And if it is a mindless hack and slash, that's kind of disappointing.
Did anybody watch the trailer?
I did.
So they introduced the new Horseman of the Apocalypse, Strife, right? And he looks badass. He's got these fucking guns, and then he opens his mouth to talk, and he sounds like Nathan Drake. I was like, what the fuck? He sounds like fucking Nolan North. This is weird. Anyways, that's kind of exciting. But so there's a third one being announced tomorrow. We don't know what it is yet. It seems like these are kind of like smaller announcements. They're trying to get ahead of the E3.
So there was an NVIDIA site that leaked the name. I forget what the NVIDIA site was, but it was like a legitimate posting that was ultimately taken down like an oh shit kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the name Red Faction Evolution was the thing that was listed.
That's
I'd be on board with that.
That's semi-confirmed. We don't know what it is. It could be like a remaster like SpongeBob, but
could
they
be.
or
already
it could be a
remastered-
spin-off like Darksiders Genesis. I think
or it could be a spin-off.
I think the Darksiders Genesis title was also leaked in kind of a similar way, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if tomorrow we get this Red Faction Evolution. Also,
the other thing is though is that there was like these 3 images that were posted that were kind of teasing these 3 announcements.
Yeah.
And like people like up to the fucking brightness. This was after the SpongeBob that cranked up the brightness and like tweaked with like the visuals to kind of get, because they were like silhouetted a little bit, and they figured out in that second image it looked like a lot of dead bodies and stuff, and people were like, this is probably Darksiders, and it was. And the third image looked like it was kind of like burning buildings, like kind of city buildings on fire.
yeah,
And that has people thinking that
destroy all humans.
maybe it could be like something like Destroy All Humans, because that doesn't really say
Red Faction.
that doesn't seem like
burning
Mars, you
bodies.
know what I mean?
Yeah, there's not too many fires on Mars.
No. Or
Does Red-
city buildings.
I mean, this is a dumb question, but is it possible to make a? I mean, I guess Red Faction has to be on Mars, doesn't it? Could you make a Red
basically,
Faction
yeah,
that's
the
not
Red
Mars?
Faction,
Does
yeah.
anybody want that?
Y'all are forgetting about Red Faction 2. I mean, that took place on Earth.
It did.
But
Yeah.
it was bad, and it didn't look like this.
Yeah, but it featured like burning buildings and shit. Like
I mean,
you're
but like we're
describing.
talking about a post Red Faction guerrilla world. I think Red
saying.
Faction. You're not wrong, but I think Red Faction after guerrilla kind of redefined or like kind of like
It could be
established what.
on Earth, although Evolution is kind of a weird name.
That sounds like a
Well, I mean,
remaster,
they could have like terraformed
No.
Mars, and so now there's like breathable atmosphere, and so there's fire or something.
What if it is a remake of the first game?
You know what would be good about that?
What?
Multiplayer.
Yeah.
The multiplayer in Red Faction 1 was,
It was pretty
awesome.
cool.
Fantastic.
I remember like drilling
Yeah.
tunnels through the rocks to go to the other person's
I already
base.
know what you're talking about. I
so
know that
good.
map.
I'd like to see modern day geomorph tech.
That would be cool. But yeah, we'll find out tomorrow what that is. So, and of course, like I said, this is one of those perfect things. This is all E3 related, kind of. This is all pre E3 stuff. So if they announce something tomorrow, you want to talk about it on the show, hit us up on the E3 2019 Discord channel. We'll bring it up on the upcoming podcast shows or E3 shows. Next we have Nintendo did their first Pokemon, or not first, I guess their big reveal of Pokemon Sword and Shield with new details. I gotta say, that new trailer got me
It looks pretty cool, doesn't it?
pretty excited. It's fucking legit. Like I don't know about legit, but like it looks very open world. Like they're talking about this big open area in between the cities where you can see Pokemon roaming around. You can run up to them. You can also encounter them in the tall grass, right?
Correct.
So it's kind of like a blend between what they were doing with like the Pokemon Go, like Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu style, and like the classic style.
Yeah, but he's also running around a world that looks, I mean, not exactly like, but it's giving me like Breath of the Wild vibes a little bit. The way he's running around this giant open world and doing all these different
there are definitely
things.
sections that seem like they're open. Yes,
But you know what? This is kind of like, when you think about it, like we've talked about it for years. Like when are they going to step up and do something like big for Pokemon? That's not just another like handheld kind of clone thing. And this is it. This is its moment, right?
This would be the perfect time for them to do it.
I mean, but it seems like they're definitely they're taking a different and a bigger approach to Pokemon than they ever have before. Like this, the first, like Crispy mentioned before the show,
They have like the 4-player raid battles now against like giant, what they're calling Dynamax
Pokemon.
And then you can have like Dynamax battles.
And the gyms, the actual gyms were these
they
giant
look like
fucking
Pokemon
stadiums.
Arena, like stadium shit. Like that looked really cool.
It's cool, man.
That stuff looked really cool. The new they revealed the
new legendaries,
the new legendaries,
which are wolves.
One has a shield on his face, the other carries a sword in his mouth, like he's Sif from Dark Souls.
Yeah. Which one? Out of curiosity, Crispy.
Sword.
You're going sword. Okay, I'm going sword.
Sword.
I think everyone's gonna go sword.
Yeah.
But doesn't that defeat the purpose? Maybe I should just bite the bullet and go shield so we can trade some
Everyone
shit.
is going to go sword, and no one's going to trade anything because you are grown-ups.
You're a bastard. You're a grumpy old man,
I mean,
Brad.
I'm also not wrong.
Crispy, we have to trade something just so we can
We're
prove
gonna
this
trade
fucker
one
wrong.
Pokemon.
Yeah, just so we can
be
say
like,
he's fucking wrong.
Fuck you, Brad.
This is our
Well,
fuck you of the week. I'm
Somebody's
trading
got to
with-
get swords so you can get the Pokemon that are only in that one.
Wait, we're both
all
getting
getting
swords.
I haven't seen any of this
No,
stuff.
sorry, shield.
Does it look cool enough that I should like?
You didn't watch the trailer?
No.
You should watch the trailer.
I saw a GIF on Twitter of like I guess some of this open-ended like or an open-ended the big open space stuff.
Yes.
Running around, and it did look pretty like wow. This is kind
There's
of.
like,
cool
it's
I
still
mean,
gonna be
they're it's still Pokemon. I mean, there's still similar stuff they've done in the past. Certain Pokemon only show up in certain weather conditions and all that shit. But yeah, my fear is still that it's kind of just more Pokemon. Like, I still want something that's like, I want them to still tweak it a little bit. I want to be a little bit different.
Well,
And
you know,
it's still. It just
I will
seems like
say
they're
that
adding new shit.
Nolan
What's up?
for someone who potentially likes Pokemon, who wants something different. They've done a fair share of Pokemon spin-offs that, and some of them aren't great, but
Dude, no, I like those spin-offs though.
There was one for the DS I always wanted to try called Pokemon Conquest, which is
I'm
a
not
little bit like
familiar with that one.
tactics game.
I'm not familiar with
Yeah,
I heard
there
it's
was like all
actually
these different
pretty
like
good.
samurai that were like Pokemon
Yeah,
themed.
I think you might like that. Pokemon
Okay.
Conquest.
You know, I just realized, because it's been a long time since I let myself get into like a Pokemon game beyond more than like a couple hours of it. But like
Let myself love again.
well, I'm just wondering, like, I'm assuming because you can trade online now, I would assume, with
Probably.
anybody. You don't have to be connected with a tether or be
don't
right
need
there next
a
to
you
it.
don't need
cable?
link cables.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking like, I'm trying to think of how this could be fun with the community and like having it like using Discord to like talk to people about what Pokemon
No, I'm
they
sure
have
we
and
will have a
trade.
Pokemon channel where
That's kind of cool. Like it kind of
Pokemon
makes me
trade
excited
channel.
about it. I'm
Pokemon
definitely
Sword
gonna
and
be.
Shield's gonna be pretty fucking dope. I feel like.
I scheduled my hands on for E3. Should be cool. I'll report back.
Let us know.
I will do
Get
that.
that sweet swag.
I'll see what I can do.
Send it back.
send it back. I'll see what kind of cool hats I can find for you
Some
guys.
hats. Gotta get the hats and the pins
Yes.
and the eye patches if they got any.
God, you remember that? Fucking went back. I went back and sat in that line
was in
again
that
to get
line.
an eye patch. Was that for you, Crispy?
I was in that line 3 times.
Everybody wanted those damn eye patches. Okay. Next news topic. Oh, by the way, the Pokemon Sword and Shield is coming out in November. Like, it's
19th?
like it's like a week before, and it's a week after.
It's going
Death
up against
Stranding.
Death Stranding.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting combination. So
world
today,
is
Google revealed all the juicy Stadia. This is where they announced the Baldur's Gate game, and they reveal all the not all of them, but like a good portion of the pricing structure for the platform and the release window, which is also later this year. I think they said November something, right?
Yes. No, yeah, that was November 19th, I think.
So they spent a good amount of time talking about
15th, whatever.
It's been a good amount of time talking about the pricing structure because that's been a huge topic of
it's been a question
conversation.
people have had, yeah.
So they have the Google Stadia base, which is free, which they haven't really gone into a whole lot of detail about how that's going to work. I would imagine you don't pay anything for the actual service,
yeah,
but you pay for the
base
games.
will be free. You just buy the games.
Yeah, and
No,
then,
the base will be $1,000.
and then they talked about Google Stadia Pro,
Something like that, yeah.
which is $129.99.
So yes and no. If you buy it like now ahead of time, and you pay the $129, you get it early. So sorry, let's take a step back.
Roll it back.
If you buy the Pro now, you get it this year. If you wait, if you want to do base, that's 2020.
Okay, gotcha.
Eventually, to my knowledge, you will be able to.
That's how they're going to stagger the.
Correct. You will be able to do the Pro subscription without doing that $129. It's just the $129 includes a bunch of crap like a controller, a Chromecast.
Chromecast Ultra. I think
yeah. And a couple other things, I think. And then it's $10 a month. For the actual service, and that allows you to play at higher bit rates and like some discounts on games.
But on top of that, you do have to pay for the games themselves, and that's where they're still being kind of coy about it, right? So the question is still kind of up in the air: are you buying games or renting them? And
I guarantee you, I will not be buying games.
Well, I don't think the thing is, like you said, Brad. I don't think a lot of the people in this room are going to be. I mean, Nolan, you're not.
I mean,
I'm
interested, and yes, I did try it out, and the service was not like amazing. It didn't blow me away, even with my good internet. I had some issues, but once again, that was still early. It was in beta. I'm not gonna, or alpha technically. I don't remember.
All right, I'm not gonna Gamerbeck's right. The $130, the Founder
Edition.
That's the
Founders, yeah. That's like the jump in early kind of thing.
Yeah.
The Stadia itself. A year from now, let's say if everything goes well, it's $10 a month for Pro, free for Basic.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I'm probably not gonna get the Founders Edition, but I might check out the service itself.
I feel like I'm gonna try the service just to see what it's like, so we can talk about it and stuff. But like, it's definitely. I don't think, Brad, you mentioned it's not really for us necessarily, or for the kind of people. That play
enthusiasts who already have multiple console systems and gaming PCs, and and
it's so weird. But you know what? It's also like if Google was to break into the gaming market, this makes total sense. Like this is absolutely how I would have pictured.
It makes
Google
more sense than them
it.
trying to design a console.
Yeah, I like the moment people started talking about Google entering this space, I was like, I don't see Google designing a piece of hardware and selling it in a store. Like it's not.
MP3s didn't make sense for people who owned a lot of like physical music back in the day, or streaming music didn't make a lot of sense when people had thousands of songs on iTunes, and now it all kind of makes sense and it's sort of the norm. It might get there eventually, but it ain't for us yet.
Yeah,
correct.
It's interesting nonetheless. We'll probably talk more about it when it's kind of out there in the wild for us to try. But yeah, there's also one of the other big talking points from today was they were talking about the data usage for it. Mm-hmm. And like if you were to stream a game at 4K, if you play 65 hours streaming at 4K, you've used a terabyte of data, which seems crazy.
Clef brings up in chat that depending on your ISP, some people do have data caps. So you can't only use X amount of data in a given month. So that would probably very much hinder those.
Another
people.
limiting factor.
Yeah, like I don't have a data cap on my internet. So in theory, I could just stream all the fucking games I want. And there you go. But what people have, there are people out there that have like 250 gigs a month, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's all they get, and which is fine for like just watching some Netflix, streaming YouTube, general browsing. But as soon as you start if you try to play something in 4K, that's a lot of data.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. That's for sure. Who knows how successful this is going to ultimately end up being, but we'll find out towards the end of the year. All right. How many news topics do we have left? There can't be more, could there? That's it? We made it?
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Yes,
we did it.
It's a big week. So moving right along, let's jump straight into community. Nolan, are you ready?
I am.
Let's do questions, then I'll do the supporter spotlight. And the way that supporter spotlight thing is going to work is I'm just going to pick like 2 answers to these questions from the person who I've picked today, and I'll just read those, and next week we'll do a different one.
Sweet. No new patrons in the past few weeks.
It's quite all right. But if you want to support us, like I said, patreon.com/4player is the way to do it, or you can subscribe to us on Twitch.
But let's get to some questions from our patrons. First question this week from JPress. With backwards compatibility seeming like a foregone conclusion on the next consoles, will all games be backwards compatible? Will licensing issues be an issue? Can publishers keep games from being backwards compatible and an issue to resell them? Isn't compatible in an issue to resell them? Essentially, the question is, with backwards compatibility being a thing, what kind of issues might we see with that? Some people being like, "Oh, I don't want it to be because I want to do a remaster."
Honestly,
we have already seen that Sony has basically said that the PS5 is going to be backwards compatible with PS4 games.
Just 4, not 3.
Just 4, yeah. So I think it's safe to assume that connection
So
there.
that's
will
like a
be-
hardware thing. That's
Yeah.
like,
And that's probably just going to be because it's
Probably.
going to use similar technology to
Yeah,
Blu-ray
there's not.
discs
We're
and-
not going from DVDs to Blu-rays.
Yeah.
They're still Blu-rays.
right.
I don't know about Xbox.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll find out. That's going to be a big thing on Sunday. It's looking like they're going to be announcing their next hardware on Sunday, so we'll probably have a concrete answer to that then.
They'll announce the next console.
But I would imagine like it's this is one of those situations where we're about to lead into a new generation of hardware. Microsoft obviously knows they're lagging behind this generation, so they want to be able to compete more effectively with Sony going into the next generation. So I can't imagine backwards compatibility not being on the table for Xbox.
I mean, that's stuff that they've done with the Xbox One. Backwards compatibility sort of gave them a lot of good will,
Yeah.
So they would definitely want to do that again.
No, they definitely do.
Yeah. So I think absolutely backwards. If we're talking strictly about console games, PS5, Xbox One, or whatever the next one is called, I don't think there's any question that backwards compatibility is going to be a major.
I mean, he was just
selling point
asking, do you think publishers might, in a bid to sell more games, not make their game like work on the new console so that they can re-release it at a later date with?
I think that's kind of a cynical way to look at it.
Remasters are really popular.
I mean, they are popular. I mean, was anybody super upset when Naughty Dog released The Last of Us remastered on PS4?
Was anybody upset when they did Final Fantasy 10 and 10-2 HD collection on the PS3, then they did it again on the PS4?
I was only upset because I
It's
bought
just a
both.
question, hypothetical. It's fine. Let's move on.
All right.
Next question from Live at the Milky Way. What's your favorite live audience sitcom? Like Cheers, Fresh Prince, Big Bang Theory? All right, let's skip that.
Wait, what?
He said a bad show.
Big Bang Theory?
Yeah.
I watched the finale. That's like the only episode I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You've only seen one episode of The Trash?
It seemed alright.
How I Met Your Mother.
How I Met Your Mother's good.
I don't think I could answer this. I don't
Wait,
really watch them.
Seinfeld? What's the question? Does Seinfeld work?
Yeah,
Seinfeld
Seinfeld works.
Seinfeld's
A show
probably
with
an
a live
answer.
studio audience, yeah.
They filmed that in front of
Fresh
a live studio
Prince?
audience?
Fresh Prince, yeah.
Some-
Shit, there was
some
one I was
Fresh
trying to
Prince.
think of.
I'm going to go with Fresh
Oh,
Prince. That's a good
Frasier
answer.
was a
Not
good
Fra-
answer.
There was one that's been more recent.
Seinfeld. Definitely going with
Oh,
Seinfeld.
there's something not too old. It's maybe like in the past like 10, 15 years. Shit. That I really like, and one of my only problems is the live studio, but I don't think they like overuse it to where it's like
Oh, Keenan and Kel.
Keenan. Oh, okay.
Keenan and Kel.
Damn it.
Oh, here goes.
Shit. I know I have one.
Well, let's move on.
All right. Next
The
question.
correct
from-
answer is Fresh Prince of Bel-Air
I mean, I guess.
or Seinfeld.
Zero Skies. What's the worst thing that has happened to you on a trip away from home?
Let's relive these terrible memories.
Mm-hmm.
There was that one time I had. No, let's move on. I don't. Let's just say I had health issues when I was in China at the Terracotta Army.
In your butthole.
I didn't want to say that, but that was a pretty terrible time for that to kind of hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a pretty traumatizing
poisoning?
experience. Yeah, basically, it was not pleasant.
Okay.
It was horrifying, actually.
I can't think of too much off the top of my head. Thankfully, most of the trips I've had away from home have been fairly okay. I would say I do remember, to an extent, I was fairly young. I don't like 5 or 6 maybe, and we went to SeaWorld, and I was kind of running around, like kids do, and I tripped, and I fell into like a cactus patch.
Oh God,
Yeah,
that's bad.
I remember that.
That's not good.
No.
Oh, Gigamir is like, I think this question's been asked before. Didn't someone see someone pooping in public? Yes, that was me.
I've seen someone pooping
yes,
in public.
and I wouldn't call what I saw pooping as much. It was
Explosive.
explosive against a wall. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
So he was just painting.
Yeah.
Story.
yeah.
He was just painting the wall.
I was walking out of a bar, and that was the first thing I saw when I left the bar. Yeah. And it was like, like guy was like bent over, had his like arms behind his knees,
as one does when one's
Yeah,
painting a
Really
wall.
just
was-
like locking in.
Yeah, just making sure he had good posture and just like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it right. Good form.
Brad, you got anything? bad, any kind of bad thing that's happened when you've been away from home on like a trip or?
Bad thing.
I'm trying to remember like any of our like nothing too bad. I mean, every time I go on a trip with the podcast and I have to sleep near Chris Davis, it's pretty bad.
Hey, none of you have to deal with that this year,
It's true. Thank God.
except me.
Well, I mean, that's because I was thinking a lot of the trips I've gone on have been with us to like PAX or PAX Prime or PAX East or E3 or whatever. Even PAX South. Like, and I'm sure I don't think any of those we've ever had anything like terrible happen.
No, they've usually been fun.
I wasn't I did get food poisoning in an out of town like debate tournament when I was in high school, and like I was hospitalized. It was real bad.
Damn.
Yeah, that whole experience was.
I guess if
very,
we're
very shitty.
would you consider like winter camp a trip away from home? I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was I would have been 15. I would have been 15. Something like that. And it was December 31st, the last day of winter camp. We went home on New Year's. And the big event for that night was they served beef stew, and then we went from there eating dinner to like a little location where they were showing Ice Age. That was they had like a big projector outside. And then like on the way from the beef stew, we all got on some buses and because it was kind of far, and kids started like just getting sick everywhere. And I was like, I'm good, man.
Nope,
I got this iron stomach. 1 a.m. Clock ticks over from the 31st to the 1st. At 1 a.m. I wake up in my tent. Fuck. And yeah, violent food poisoning.
Who made
both
beef
ends?
stew?
Oh God.
Both ends. Which
Who
was
made
the
beef
worst.
stew?
Because you gotta like keep getting up off the toilet and switching sides. Dude,
Oh.
it was like one of the
Oh,
worst
that's so
experiences
gross.
of my life.
Yeah.
I flushed in between.
Both
Nick.
ends is bad. For sure.
But dude, it was one of like the worst experiences of my life. And I just remember
Picturing someone who can't like turn around fast enough, and they just give up. They just give up and they're just like sitting on the toilet.
Well, that's when you.
I'm so
That's when you throw up into the bathtub. Oh my
Dude, I was at a fucking winter camp, Brad. I didn't have a bathtub. The only saving grace was my campsite was right next to like the adults and the counselor like bathrooms. Like our bathrooms were literally like the wood benches in a hole for the Boy Scouts.
Latrine?
Yeah, but the adults had actual like toilets and stuff. So thankfully, I just fucking went to those because I'm like, I am not gonna have this night be in like a hole in the ground.
Never give up, kids.
Yeah. Dude, it was fucking horrible.
I got elevation
elevation sickness.
elevation sickness when I went to Colorado with Robin last year, and I've told the story. I think I threw up in the Stanley Hotel. That was
Nice.
interesting.
All right, let's move on. Final question from patrons this evening from Gigamir.
Gigamir, who's in chat, I believe.
Yep. I am really interested in Baldur's Gate 3, but I have never really experimented much with CRPGs aside from the PC version of Dragon Age Origins. Should I go back and play Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, or have those games not aged well at all? If they haven't, are there mods or updated versions of those games that might make them less difficult to get into?
There are.
We
They're
kinda
still
mentioned
hard
this
to get
earlier.
into. They're pretty old, and they have weird rules. But I mean they're absolutely enjoyable from like a story, character standpoint, writing standpoint, like absolutely. But again, Divinity Original Sin 2, that's like sort of the latest hotness, and it's like fucking amazing. Anybody can enjoy that. If you can enjoy Original Sin 2, you could probably enjoy Baldur's Gate. They're making the game.
Here's a follow-up question. If I don't end up playing Baldur's Gate 1 or 2, do you think... I mean, I guess we don't know enough about Baldur's Gate 3, but those the kind of games where if you played Baldur's Gate 2 without playing 1, are you missing a lot?
It is a direct continuation, but Baldur's Gate 2 is the more beloved. I mean, it is harder to go back to the first Baldur's Gate. It is... You will appreciate 2 more if you played 1.
That collector's edition with 1 and 2 is coming to the Switch. And I think I saw it's $50.
Really?
I think I could be wrong.
Mean, sure, but it's probably not the best way to play those games, but there are a lot of mods and stuff. I don't have any. Divinity Original Sin 2. Play that.
Cool. All right, moving on to some questions from our supporters on Twitch. These are asked in our Discord channel. So first question this week from Thorax. A common complaint with Game of Thrones Season 8 is that certain characters had plot armor galore. Name a character in a game, movie, or show that had hilarious amount of plot armor or Deus Ex Machina on their side.
I mean, this is kind of deliberate, so I don't know if this really counts, but the first thing that popped in my head was Fortune from Metal Gear Solid 2. Yeah. Literally was a character with plot armor. Like, she had...
Wait.
I mean, it's not necessarily the exact
We're
same
just
thing.
kind of like saying plot armor.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe it's not plot armor.
That was actual, like, magical armor.
Yeah.
There's a like Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, like the main character and in the first season the main villain both literally have that, where like they can't, like, the universe has put them on a path and they can't like get off of it. Like, to the point where, like, someone could be standing there with a gun, like, trying to kill them, and the gun will jam, and they'll just, like, take the gun and kill them.
I think the problem, I don't say the problem with that question, but especially when it comes to games and stuff like that, is like any kind of like action game, like an Uncharted or something like that. The main characters always have plot armor, just because
they're always gonna fall through the floor is gonna cave in under them, but there's always gonna be something
fine.
there for them.
I mean, you could even make the excuse that every like video game main character has plot armor.
You reload.
Because if you die, you go back and do it again. That wasn't real. That didn't happen.
Yeah,
that's true. That's a do-over.
Mulligan.
I feel like plot armor is kind of like a core component of what makes video games appealing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an imperfect concept to describe a lot of different things going on.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm having trouble. Definitely,
plot
I agree
armor
with
isn't exactly
Season 8 having a lot of it.
It's not exactly like an academic term.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
Let's never forget that Fortune had armor that literally made bullets.
Yep.
Like,
that was cool.
Final question for this evening from Beck. In honor of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines becoming the next Revival Club game, what is the best depiction of vampires? You may stick to games, include other mediums if there aren't enough vampire games.
Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, probably.
Oh, this guy over
really?
here.
That's a contender.
That's high praise.
I mean, they've got...
I've never played it. I'm going to play it. I'll find out.
Like the World of Darkness vampires, like, there's a lot of, like, depth to the different types and cultures of vampires.
Yeah,
so I think that's interesting.
What We Do in the Shadows TV show.
What We Do in the Shadows, because that, because
as soon as they get into like energy vampires,
they get to follow old school, like, classic folklore rules for vampires, but they do it like to like the extreme for comedic effect.
Yeah,
and it's fucking amazing. It's great. It's almost like vampires work better as comedic characters than like horror characters.
Kind of. Yeah.
I also want to. So there's two that come to mind for me movie wise.
Twilight.
Yes, Brad. Twilight.
That's Sparkle.
No. I've always actually been fond of the vampire, specifically the like new breed of vampire they introduced in Blade 2.
Remind me of the new breed.
Super vampires,
super vampires
where they're like their mouths like split open.
The Guillermo del Toro vampires.
Exactly. The Guillermo del Toro vampires. Like
gotcha.
That's them alone. Like, and some of the shit they do in those movies are really creepy. Like that. Blade 2 is fantastic specifically because of his contributions there.
Wait, you haven't seen What We Do in the Shadows, right?
I've seen the movie.
Show?
I haven't watched the TV show. I want to so bad.
Well, I'm talking about Blade.
Oh, because Wesley Snipes is in it.
Yeah.
As a daywalker.
As
himself.
Yeah, as himself.
That's hilarious. That's fucking hilarious.
Dude.
The other one that comes to mind is it 30 Days of Night?
30 Days of Night. Yeah.
I've
not seen that movie.
Fucking terrifying vampires in that movie.
I did not like that movie.
I mean, I don't know. I can't remember how good the movie actually was, but like the actual portrayal of the vampires themselves was really scary.
More like monster.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's all the questions we have this week from our patrons on patreon.com/4Player and our supporters in Twitch whose questions were asked in our Discord channel at discord.gg/4Player.
We've had a few new subscribers tonight, or people who have been resubscribing, but I've never seen Ask a Question. If you want to ask a question, just pop into the supporters channel in Discord and you can ask it there. Make sure you ping me, that's Nick or Nolan.
Yeah. Either way works.
Either way, and we'll read those at the beginning of or during the community segment of the show. And next, I want to we have supporter spotlight. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, there's a brief questionnaire I've kind of put out there. It's pinned in the supporter spotlight channel in Discord. It's a short 6 to 8 question questionnaire where you can answer questions about some of your favorite games or your opinions on games, whatever. And I'm just going to pick someone at random every week and give an opportunity to highlight some of your answers. This week I'm reading Ryan's responses. He is Prince of the Universe, who's in chat, I believe. Yeah, Prince of the Universe is here. And I'm just going to pick a couple of these questions that we asked him and read his responses. I said, what is one interesting fact about yourself that you would like the community to know? He says, these days, I'm just a regular guy working a 9-to-5 job, but when I was younger, I loved to write and would spend a lot of time writing fan fiction of games and anime that I liked. No, I will not share any of them with you, and no, they weren't the kind you were thinking of.
I wasn't thinking of that.
I got an answer.
I don't believe you!
When I was younger, I actually used
This
to
wasn't
be.
a question for us. This was a question for him.
Wait, what? Well, you could. If
mean,
you have
you
a story to
can
share,
answer.
please, Brad.
This is a bad joke.
Oh.
When I was younger, I used to be like a pretty successful video game streamer on the internet.
Self-deprecating humor. It's fantastic.
I mean, I will say in regards to that, I remember a time when I was younger, and Dragon Ball Z was like all the rage, right?
It was, yes.
It was fucking the shit.
Sweeping.
Every young kid fucking loved it. And so I was at like my mom had me go to like her friend's house or something, and I was bored, and they're like, oh, you can use our computer to like whatever. How does the internet work? And so I got on the internet, of course. I Googled, or probably Yahoo'd, Dragon Ball Z, and I was just kind of looking up stuff, and I somehow came across like a fanfic, and it was this really detailed thing about like Vegeta and Bulma, and like it got and I had no idea what was going on. I was like, what the fuck is this? And
A whole new world.
yeah.
Official material.
Yeah, I was like,
This is canon.
I don't think I knew what that phrase meant back then, but for some reason I vividly have that memory, and I can't remember, but I just remember like just little tiny bits and pieces of. Like, I remember sitting at the computer and like reading it.
He planted his Saiyan seed.
Exactly,
Gross.
the seed is strong.
All right. Next, we asked, what is a game that you consider to be underrated that you wish more people would play, and why?
Vampire the Masquerade.
Where do I start?
This is not questions for y'all, you bitches.
They sound like questions.
These are questions that we ask the supporters, and they answer.
Brad,
Come on, Brad.
I'm tired.
you're fucking killing me. Prince of the Universe says, Paper Mario Color Splash.
Nice.
Okay.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm dead serious. Color Splash is not the best Paper Mario, but it's a damn good one. I think people overlooked it because it came at the tail end of a dying console, and also because of some visual and mechanical similarities to possibly the worst Paper Mario game, Sticker Star. However,
That's the reason.
Color Splash, contrary to popular belief, is not just Sticker Star HD. It is very much its own game that has some of the funniest writing I've ever seen in a Nintendo game, or any game for that matter. It never stops introducing new and inventive ways to fight enemies throughout the entire game, so it never feels repetitive. The music is arguably the best in the entire Paper Mario series, and of course, as with any Nintendo game, the art is absolutely beautiful. I realize that asking people to dig their Wii U's out of deep storage to play this one game is a big request, but if you have any fondness for your Paper Mario series and never picked this one up, I highly recommend you give it a shot.
Cool.
That's a great answer. Thank you for submitting that. I've actually never played Wait.
Don't play this one if you've never played one.
I've never played a Paper Mario game, I don't think.
Some of them are
I've
pretty
never
good.
How
played
many
it.
Paper Mario games are there?
There's quite a
Paper
few.
Mario, Thousand Year Door.
Thousand Year Door.
I mean, there's like Super Paper Mario.
Yeah.
There's Color Splash, Sticker Star. I mean, it gets kind of weird, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
There's also the Mario Luigi RPGs. Have you ever played those?
Yes. So those count as Paper
Well, they're all Mario
Not quite.
RPGs.
That's what I was-
yeah,
that's
it's
what I
Mario
was-
RPG,
is the
Paper
point.
Mario, Mario Luigi. It's all the same fucking
Yeah.
Mario RPG thing.
Gotcha.
It's just the Paper Mario ones have specific
Yeah.
jokes and mechanics around
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
being paper.
Yeah.
So he specifically recommends Paper Mario Color Splash. So
I remember when that came out, and at first I thought it looked like the sticker one.
So is it a Wii U game, or
It's a
is
Wii
he-
U game. It was at the
Oh.
end of the Wii, and I
Yeah.
remember like looking at it and being like, but as soon as it came out, it actually had really good reviews, and I was like, oh shit, maybe I'll pick this
some
up.
of them.
But then I was like, I'd have to play it on my Wii U,
Yeah.
and so I did not.
I hear the combat's dreadful.
really?
No, he's saying that's underrated. Not that's the one you should play.
Yeah.
Usually the one that's considered to be the holy grail is Thousand Year Door.
Thousand
Yeah.
Year Door.
Gotcha.
I played that a while back when we did a
Mario Week or
98
something?
month or
Mario
something.
Week.
Oh, a Mario Week. That's what it was. Yeah.
All right. So real quick, because we asked what your top 5 games of all time were, and I usually let people give like a short explanation as to why they picked these, but he
Metal Gear
didn't really provide much of that. So I'll just this is just a list. So I'll just
Sure.
read these real quick. Number 5, Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. There it is. 4, Infamous, the first one.
Who is this again?
Prince of the Universe.
I'm just kidding.
And 3 is Hollow Knight. Great. I got my collector's edition in. Oh, shit. That is
Yeah.
such a good collector's edition. Holy balls. 2, Tales of the Abyss. I'm trying to remember which one that was.
PlayStation 2 Tales of Game.
That's right. Okay, and his number 1, and he's cheating here. He's pulling a Brad. The Phoenix Wright trilogy. Yes, I am counting the first 3 games as one. Fight me.
I'd let that slide.
Yeah. Good list. Good solid fucking list.
Yep.
All right, so that's it. He didn't really add much to say about the top 5. I just wanted to read them since they were short answers. But thank you, Prince of the Universe, very much for submitting. Like I said, if you are a supporter at the $3 tier or higher, or a subscriber on Twitch, you should be able to go into the supporters channel or supporter spotlight channel in Discord. There's a pinned note there where you can find the link to the questionnaire. Fill it out whenever you want. I have the responses all lined up. I'm going to pick one at random each week and just read a couple of your responses. You may even get featured on more than one episode. If in 20 episodes or so I decide to pick Prince of the Universe again, I might read some of his other responses because I've got them right here. So thank you guys for submitting. I've had quite a few submissions so far, so thank you for doing that. And without further ado, let's wrap this show up. I know it's been a long one. It's time for the 4-player minute. Hype, sweat, thank you, and fuck you. Brad?
Well, since E3's next week, it makes sense to have 4 hypes because we're all pretty hyped for E3.
You told me you busted my balls last time.
Well, last
Brad.
week wasn't the week before
That's about
E3.
you. It's about you, not
right.
about me.
Fair enough.
I'm going to go with some not so known quantities, but, ones that I'm hyped about. I want to see I really want to see what the new Animal Crossing's all about. I'm hoping that it's like kind of a departure. I feel like Nintendo's kind of in a place where with the Switch and with some of the games they've been doing, like Zelda, Mario, Pokemon, they're ready for like kind of bigger and grander, and I'm hoping that extends to Animal Crossing. That could be really cool. As opposed to just another isometric, explore your little 5 villager town or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Second hype is for that FromSoft game that has been rumored and
Heavily rumored.
Rumored.
Great Rune is the rumor.
No, that is actually not part of the legitimate rumor. All that Nordic stuff.
Okay.
All that Norse mythology stuff, that's part of the way more bullshit part of that rumor. But there are aspects of that rumor that are like.
So which part of the rumor are you hyped for?
Well, the George R. R. Martin part, of course, and the fact that it's a From Software game. And part of the rumor that is supposed to be legit is a horse is supposed to be a big part of it. And if you think about it, you wouldn't really ride a horse around a From Software game because they're not really structured as such, right?
You play as a horse.
Yeah,
So-
that's my assumption.
Horse
Well, no,
Knights.
But I mean,
Horse Knights.
think about the idea of having a horse in a From Software game. That world has to be in such a way that is very different for From Software and kind of exciting.
Yes, that is true.
My third hype is for, we know Shinji Mikami's going to E3. He's tweeted about it. I'm ready to see something new from Tango Gameworks. It doesn't necessarily have to be a new Evil Within.
It doesn't.
But in fact, I think after maybe 2, they might even take a break or stop doing that series because I don't think that second one sold all that well. Even though it was well
It's a damn
It was
fucking
a good
shame.
game.
Yeah, it was a good game.
So good.
But it's exciting because you think of Mikami, Evil Within is sort of like a spiritual follow-up to Resident Evil, right? But he's done a lot of other cool shit in the past, like a Dino Crisis, like a Vanquish. Like what is the next thing that Tango's going to work on? It could be some really cool shit.
What if Bethesda was like
What if
Shinji
it's a
Mikami?
God Hand,
What if
successor?
what if Bethesda was just like Shinji Mikami? If Capcom's not going to do it, you're going to do it.
Yeah,
Make a fucking dinosaur game, like a horror dinosaur game. We'll call it something else, but
Yes.
fuck it.
What do you think I'm talking about? That's exactly what Evil Within was back when Resident Evil was in shambles,
Fuck it.
And my final hype is, I think it's going to happen. I think they're going to announce Final Fantasy 16.
You think it's going to happen?
I'm ready, man. It's been so long since Final Fantasy.
But you think that's a realistic expectation?
I think
I
it's
do.
absolutely a realistic
I
expectation.
think it's realistic.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
They
I
have
hope
a
you're right.
history of announcing.
And you know what,
They
Brad?
announced Final Fantasy 14 the same time they announced 13,
That's
didn't
true.
they?
Yes,
You
that
know
was
what,
the year. They were like, we have one more Final Fantasy game to announce. And we're like, what?
And it's been a long time. If you think of the fact that Versus 13 was spun into 15, like a actual new Final Fantasy, a new universe, it's been a long fucking time.
Yes, it has.
And it might be early. but
Gigamier in
I
chat
just
mentions
It's
Yoko
three.
Taro's.
It's 3 years since 15 came out,
Yeah.
which meant we announced it at least
Has it really been 15 years?
November
Or 3 years?
2016. Yeah, we're just shy of 3 years.
Gigamir says Yoko Taro's Final Fantasy 16.
Anything.
That could be fucking cool.
Yasumi Matsuno's
Brad,
Final
I'm
Fantasy
excited
16.
for Final Fantasy 16 because I'm excited for finally a good Final Fantasy game.
Well, I mean,
It's been
is
so
that
long.
possible? That's the thing. Just give me a logo, give me a director, get me excited. Also, Parasite. There was a Parasite Eve trademark that is not a renewal of the old one, from what I'm understanding. So there could be something Parasite Eve related.
This is what I want, Brad. I don't want a logo. I want a cinematic trailer that shows a fantasy universe. No fucking leather, skin tight pants and fucking sports cars.
Yes,
and
give me
stuff.
some fucking Zidane.
I want a fucking fantasy universe. I want it to fucking be glorious.
I want
Wizards and swords.
I want a spiritual successor to Final Fantasy
I want some
9 is what I want.
some red mages and black mages, and I want it to be fucking old school Final Fantasy.
Whimsy.
Yes.
Give me some whimsy.
Yeah.
All
right, Nolan.
My 4Player minute starts now. First hype is for Pokemon Conquest. I'm not very familiar with that game, but I'm excited to look into it and check it out because I'm wanting Pokemon to be not Pokemon. My second hype is for Link's Awakening. I'm excited to learn more about it and it finally come out.
Yeah.
My sweat is for Pokemon Sword and Shield. While I do think the game has potential, I'm still worried that I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to start playing it, and like 20 to 30 minutes into the game, I'm going to be like, God damn it, this is just the same shit. It just looks a little bit different. That's what I'm worried about. We'll see what happens, though. And then my other sweat goes to VR games. So I recently got an Oculus Rift S, and there's no fucking VR games on sale. Everything's like full price, and I can't go out there and spend like $400 on like a few VR games. And so
problems that VR's had. That's sort of one of the problems that VR's had. Is that it's kind of cost prohibitive, like the games.
Is that
for like pretty short experiences?
Is that what is the blood? The new
Blood.
like
I got
Secret
it. Man.
Agent.
I'm gonna stream it tomorrow.
But is that only on PSVR or is that something that's also
Blood. What are you talking
what's it
about?
called, Brad?
Blood and Truth?
Blood and Truth. Yes.
I have no idea what that is.
I'm gonna stream it tomorrow.
You should look into it. Although I think it may be PlayStation VR exclusive, but I could be wrong.
I have a PlayStation VR, Nick.
Well, I know, but you were looking for something for your Oculus. But.
I know. That's it. That's my 4-player minute.
Mine is
play
also
that fucking Morty game or whatever. Rick and Morty fucking dude game.
I have.
Trevor Saves the Universe.
Yeah.
Oh, that one? I haven't played that one.
Yeah,
but you know what, Brad? It's full price right now.
Yeah, but people say they like it.
All right,
My
Crispy?
4-player minute is also 4 hypes in honor of pre-E3 week.
Good hype.
My first hype is also as Brad mentioned, for the George R.R. Martin FromSoft game, whatever that's gonna be.
God, I really hope
Beyond
that actually,
the Wall.
I really hope that actually
Beyond
gets
the
announced.
Wall, whatever it is.
Ah!
Shut up,
It won't
Brad.
Hope is poison.
It could be. Hope is poison. My next hype is for Death Stranding. What's that gonna be?
Still nobody
It's
knows.
great. I love it.
It's a social strand
That
system.
Social strand system. I can't wait to figure out what the fuck that means. And I hope there's a command to pee. My third hype is for Pokemon Sword and Shield. Because dope.
Do you think the percentage of people who get Sword over Shield, like that percentage is going to be,
I think it's gonna be like
way more
2/3.
off than it's ever been?
Maybe.
Is that because people don't like the shield?
Because the sword is the wolf with the sword in its fucking mouth,
It
and
looks
the other one is
badass.
just like a
It's a
dude
big
with
shield
It
face.
just has
a shield face.
He
which
does
is
look kind of goofy.
not as cool as a wolf with a fucking sword in its mouth.
Like, I bet what you're gonna find is that like a lot of younger players end up with Pokemon Shield.
No,
Yeah.
Because
everyone's
their
gonna pick this
because their parents are buying it.
Yeah, their parents are like, "Here's the new Pokemon game, Timmy."
protect.
They're gonna throw the game back at their mom.
Yeah.
I don't want this shit.
It could
And
also, it could
my fourth and final hype is for Destiny 2 Shadowkeep. Was that what it's called? Shadowkeep.
Shadowkeep.
Yeah.
Shadowkeeper.
No, it's Shadowkeep.
Trapper
It's the
Keeper.
name of.
I was a little confused about what they were going for.
It's the name of a fortress.
So was that the name of an expansion, or were they rebranding Destiny 2 completely?
No, that's an expansion. That's coming out in September.
I will say, of all the mistakes you made, I
Going
think
back to the
not
moon.
playing through that Destiny 2 campaign was like the one thing that would have made you feel differently about your whole aversion
Are
to
you talking about
everything.
me?
Yeah, I think you would have really liked it.
I mean, it's not too late. I can do it anytime I want.
And now you can do it for free.
With the
Wait,
Google
what?
'Cause they
Stadia.
went free to
Oh.
play. Well, the whole game's going.
Yeah, game's
Like
going
later
free to
this
play.
year, they're launching the free to play version of it called Destiny First Light or New Light.
And I could play the Destiny 2 campaign if I wait until that.
You
goes
can
free.
play all the campaign. You can play basically everything except for the premium content of the current season, which would be like Gambit Prime and like whatever the current raid is.
I think you could play it now anyways because I think they gave it away with PlayStation Plus.
I mean, yeah, but that was a few months ago. I didn't
if you
download
picked
it,
it up a few months ago. Yeah.
which I should have. I regret
They also
it.
had it for free on BattleNet for a month.
Fuck. Maybe you're right, Brad. I mean, here's the thing. Like, I was playing the Division, and I was really enjoying my time with that too. So, I mean, it's not like I'm incapable of enjoying
I think
the
you would
style
like
of game.
Destiny a lot more than you like Division.
But
I think you could play through with like
Destiny's
Robin and have a really great time.
But that also hinges upon whether that's the kind of game
I'm
Robin
really
wants to
excited
play.
for the new expansion. Like, I can't wait to go back to the moon.
The moon.
The moon. And Eris Morn's coming back, and it looks like there's a lot of really cool quality of life changes. They're kind of overhauling how armor works again, so now they're finally going to be doing fashion armor, where you can just make your armor look like whatever piece you've collected, make it look like you want, which is great, because right now a big problem, especially for me in Destiny, is that like because of the new armor perk system, it's basically made most of the armor in the game obsolete. So you don't have as many choices as it seems like you do. Which it would be nice to not have to worry about that anymore. And also because like Season of Opulence just started right now. They just added a bunch of new content to the game. The menagerie and the fucking all the new activities that they're doing, new raids going up.
Yeah.
And that shit's been fucking dope so far.
Cool.
Like some of the best content they've been doing so far, I think, is in Season of Opulence. So I can't wait to see what they do with their next expansion.
Is there still like talk about them now that they've kind of talked about the next big thing for Destiny 2, that Destiny 3 might be revealed at E3, or is that just
They're probably not going to.
I don't think they will.
It's too early.
They'll
just
probably
wondering?
reveal next year.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. My 4-player minute starts now, and unlike you fuckers, I don't have 4 hypes.
I didn't have 4
I know.
hypes.
Don't
It
call
was,
us fuckers.
it was an
This is a
unintentional
you
blanket
thing.
statement. I have a legitimate 4-player minute. A hype sweat. Fuck you and thank you.
First time in the history.
My hype goes to. I have a lot of hypes for E3, but I will say one of the rumors that I am the most excited about is actually at Microsoft. There's heavily rumored that they're going to finally reveal that Fable reboot from the developers of Forza Horizon.
Yeah.
And just the thought of a new Fable game coming back without all that baggage that comes with Peter Molyneux being attached to it. I hate to say that, but you know, it is baggage. Like being able to just kind of revisit that world through a totally different lens could be really fucking exciting. So I really
Forza,
hope that
not the Forza.
Forza.
Pizza.
Forza.
Like pizza.
All right,
Forza.
Forza Horizon. All right, sorry.
Forza.
Thank you for correcting me. My sweat goes to the Avengers, mostly because obviously, you know, I just
Play Destiny.
I mean,
You'll think about these games differently.
I mean, you might be right, but I'm also. It's more of just like for me. It's hard to picture an Avengers game that isn't Ultimate Alliance, and I don't have any interest in Ultimate Alliance. I know it's not Ultimate Alliance, but until I see what this game actually is, I'm going to be worried about it. It's just one of those games.
So does that mean you're not picking up Ultimate Alliance on the Switch?
Correct. My thank you goes to Evolve PR. They handle a lot of the PR appointments for a lot of the companies at E3, and this year
Evolve's awesome.
they've been particularly helpful. Last year, getting in to see Cyberpunk I got in pure luck, and I was the only one who got in to see it last year, and it was like pulling teeth. This year, Chris Davis and I both got our appointment booked ahead of time. We are on the list, and we're good to go. I don't have to stress about it. They've been incredibly helpful, not only with Cyberpunk, but booking a lot of other appointments at E3. So they seem to be getting better and better every single year. So I just wanted to send
Evolve's
a
one of
thank
the
you
best
to them.
PR companies I've ever
And that's
dealt with.
probably shows because it's probably why they're handling so many of the games at E3. And my fuck you of the week, it's not really a fuck you per se. I don't really want to say fuck you, but you know, fuck you, Rocksteady. What the fuck are you doing? Come on. They're not going to be at E3 again.
Correct.
So it's been 4 or 5 years
It's
now?
been a while.
Since 4 years, 4 years since we got Arkham Knight, which means they've been working on something new. People have been dying to know what the fuck it is, and like we've seen games get announced 3 or 4 years ahead of their actual. Like we've known about Cyberpunk 2077 since before The Witcher 3 came out. Like
it takes a long time to perfect the Batwing, and Mark Hamill's very busy.
all I'm saying is like at least give us a fucking title, like a logo and a title, and just say, hey, it's coming. Like, I would be happy with that. But
do it with the Joker. I want that trailer. I want Rocksteady's new game to be a Batman game, and then the reveal trailer is going to be the Joker.
All right.
It's my dream.
I just want to say that, so Rocksteady not being there sucks, but I also got to remember that, like, that Court of Owls game that was rumored isn't going to be Rocksteady if it exists. Yep. That's going to be, what was the other studio that made Origins? Montreal. Like, so there's still a chance that maybe we're going to get that announcement this week. Like, you never fucking know.
Isn't the word on the street that, like, Montreal is, like, kind of a shit show? They've had 2 canceled games since Origins.
Really?
Yeah.
WB Montreal is not going to be anything. Oh, fuck. I don't fucking, you know what? Somebody in chat just told me that Montreal's not going to be at E3 this year, and now I'm just like,
Montreal's a city.
WB Montreal, sorry. They don't necessarily have to be there to announce the game, right?
That's true. They don't.
They could just give it to like Microsoft and say, here, announce this. Anyway, I don't fucking know. Fuck you, Rocksteady. Anyways, that's our show, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I know it's been a long show. We've had a lot to talk about tonight. Again, this is our last show before E3. I encourage you guys.
Not the last time we'll be live before E3.
Not last time we'll be live before E3 for sure. We try to stream most nights, and we'll be live again on Sunday, all together here to live commentate Microsoft's press conference and Bethesda's. So if you're going to be watching those anyways, we encourage you guys to come join us. It'll be fun. We'll be goofing off. We're gonna try out some Oculus VR. In between, we're gonna record a podcast where we talk about everything that happens at those 2 conferences. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So tune in. We'll be goofing around, and of course, we're going to be at E3 on Monday, Chris and I, and we'll be doing streams and podcasts throughout the week. So check out the post on the site at 4playernetwork.com if you want to know more about when you can hang out with us for E3 stuff. Don't forget to join our Discord and be a part of all the E3 discussion. There's going to be so much to talk about. So discord.gg/4player is the place to be. And of course, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And that's our show, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you guys later.
Bye.
Good night.